Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway. And in the driveway is a nice range. Cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They'll deceive with the negativity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. You got a mind, but even that could change. You could flip the gray matter like some batter in your brain. That's why I say, fake it till you make it A. And if you play that game, then you just might make a change. Rearrange all the bad to okay. Take the worst thoughts saying, turn them to a game. Take the best thoughts saying, put them on display. On repeat in your brain till you're feeling no more pain. Never slow yourself down, you can do some more. Push past all the pain and you'll find a door. Open it up and finally explore everything that you thought you could never do before. And even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yo, go, go, go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway. And in the driveway is a nice range. Cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They'll deceive with the negativity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. You got a mind, but even that could change. You could flip the gray matter like some batter in your...
For all things baseball, don't miss the Winter Meetings podcast Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern at youtube.com/The Sports Report Podcast. And again, what's up? That's weird. Theme music wasn't working tonight.
It seemed like it just skipped. Well, it just skipped part of your intro there, your advertisement.
Yeah, the audio didn't come through. That's kind of weird. Well, welcome for those of you that are catching us. Welcome to Sports Report.
I had audio.
Could you hear it?
Yeah, absolutely. It just cut. It cut one of your promos short, but
that's weird.
Yeah, I had audio.
I couldn't hear anything.
It sounded great.
Reason. That's weird. But anyway, welcome to the Sports Report After Dark. I am your host, Seven. With me is my partner in crime, Dan the Dick Werner. Welcome to those of you also that are catching us after the fact on Spotify and West Coast Radio. We are not for kids. We are an adult show. We talk about adult subjects. We try to set up shop where sports and humanity intersect and talk about the human side of sports.
And sometimes that gets messy.
Sometimes that gets messy.
Things like shit
and fuck.
Cocksucker. Fuck.
This is definitely one of those shows that the kids do not need to listen to. And we want to be honest and give everybody a heads up because we are going to crack open a cold one, sit here in our shades, and see how weird we can make it tonight.
I only drink hard liquor now.
Oh,
only
really?
Hard liquor. No, not really. I mean, I still enjoy a brewski, but yeah. Oh, we got the Oktoberfest. Oh my God, this stuff's delicious.
Yeah, Sam Adams Oktoberfest. Shout out to them who are not sponsoring us, but should be. Man, it has been one hell of a week.
It's like pumpkin cider and awesome beer mixed together.
I first tried it when I was working at D&G, and I started getting into like the Oktoberfest brews and stuff like that. And this one and Leinenkugel's Oktoberfest are pretty legit.
Leinenkugel's is awesome. I love their summer shandy. It's literally just beer and fucking lemonade mixed together. But
it's just so smooth. So smooth, though.
Fucking Monty Scorsese and Brian Scalabrine could pile up. They could fucking. I saw it one night. They could fucking polish off a whole fucking keg. Fucking Brian Big Ball Scalabrine and fucking Monty Scorsese used to hang out with me all the time, and they could just fucking pile off some Oktoberfest.
It's one hell of a story, you know. And also, of course,
Jimmy.
Before we dive in, I do want to give a special thank you to our friends over at Gunslinger Soap. Gunslinger Soap is handmade soaps and beard products made without all of the junk to pamper your skin. You can go to their website right now, gunslingersoap.com, and sign up to get 15% off of your first order and always free shipping over $30. That's gunslingersoap.com. Definitely check it out. Good friend Sean Selectman runs that company. Firefighter, donates a lot of money to charity. Great small business to support. We definitely recommend them.
Brad, a.k.a. Tyler Durden.
As we dive in tonight, man, we get started. Jim Irsay really rocked the boat after the owners meeting. At least that's how it looks on the surface. Irsay, interviewed after the owners meetings, made comments that he did feel Commanders owner Dan Snyder did need to be removed and should be forced to sell the organization. His comments made surrounding the 5 investigations, including a congressional investigation into problems in the workplace culture with the Washington Commanders, formerly Washington football team, formerly Washington Redskins.
Jim Irsay took that call in his Lamborghini while he was driving drunk. He took that call. That's why he wasn't real. No, I'm just kidding.
His eyes, it always seems like he's got a little bit of a tear in each eye and they're kind of glazed over. So one could believe that he knows the bottom of more whiskey bottles than Jack Daniels.
Really good whiskey, though. He's just drinking that $700 bottle of shit on fucking $2 bucks.
He pisses Jack Daniels.
Getting drunk as a motherfucker, warm drunk.
And he got his money through the oil business, similar to Jerry Jones, right? Am I right on that? It sounds right.
I honestly don't know. I know
like ranching or something like that. He's some redneck company.
He's a white guy, old billionaire. Nobody knows where he came from. It could have came from
probably oil money.
For fuck we know, yeah, probably.
Arms deals, oil money, and the occasional cattle ranch that he buys at a low price and exploits for everything he can, and then sells it for a profit.
Exactly. Irsay was when he was done with that meeting. They were like, "Hey, do you think Dan Snyder should be removed?" And he was like, thinking about things that he's got caught for in the last 6 months. Or it's been like 6 years, but still, like things that he's got caught for.
I was to say he's gotten caught for some stuff before, hasn't he?
Absolutely, a couple DUIs, I think. I don't want to quote it because I don't want to, but yes, he's. What was it? Yeah, there was a big one. I feel like it was like him and cocaine and hookers, but like that's just maybe.
I mean, if you one look at Jim Irsay, and it's one could assume he knows what cocaine smells like. Like,
I think, yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Small nostrils, too, so he's always frustrated. He can't get up.
Yeah.
Just little nostrils.
It's, like, I think he's probably the one owner that's definitely juicing. I would say, like, if you look at him, Jim Irsay definitely juicing.
He's like the NFL version of McMahon. He's always like red.
That's a beautiful comparison. I love
is.
that. He looks like the NFL's version of Vince McMahon.
They always look like they're sunburned. Like they just have a constant sunburn.
He's sunburned and constipated. Like, because you see like that strain, like he's just trying to push out a turd all the time. But he's spending too much time at the beach to get it done.
His fucking neck veins creep me out. I'm not gonna lie to you.
But I mean, when we look at what he said, though, obviously there's some interesting pieces to this because that owners club, you don't have one owner saying something like that about another owner unless the general consensus is fuck that guy.
Yeah, when Irsay felt like he could take the high road, that Snyder's in trouble. For real.
And I think
because
he's
been caught for a bunch of shit. Sorry.
No, and like that, and you're right. But also when you look at things like after Irsay's comments, Roger Goodell was asked what he thought about Irsay's comments and if it was okay that he said that. Was like, yeah, he can say it.
He can say whatever he wants. He owns the fucking team. He can really say whatever he wants.
I mean, ultimately, he could say whatever he wants, but
that just shows you how, and we've said it on here, like how comparatively bad everything that Dan Snyder did was so much worse than like Irsay has gotten caught for shit. He's like literally a notoriously like not a bad owner, but like a bad guy owner. Like he just does a lot of crazy shit and gets caught for it.
He's just kind of a piece of shit. Like just your general run-of-the-man rich white guy piece of shit that you would expect. Like that's the way it seems is the way that we'll describe it. Obviously, we don't know him personally. We don't know all of the facts about Jim Irsay's life, so we can't say for sure. But based on available information, he doesn't exactly have the cleanest record. I mean, who doesn't? But
right,
really, like and so the thing to me that was the sign that the tide has changed when it comes to Dan Snyder comes down to the lack of support from Roger Goodell after Irsay's comments. Because truth be told, if this was literally just one owner was pissed, like Robert Kraft, let's say that this was Robert Kraft that was being investigated. When Irsay makes a comment, Robert Kraft should be removed. Goodell's like, no, that's not how the owners feel. We're not even looking at that. Like, there's a lot of support there.
Right.
The lack of support for Dan Snyder after Irsay's comments is a tell. Like, even like
for sure,
Jerry Jones, who is supposedly was somebody that has been in Dan Snyder's corner. Jerry Jones isn't even coming out and giving a whole bunch, very much overwhelming support for Dan Snyder. We look at the allegations against Snyder with the toxic workplace, sexual harassment, the laundry list of things that were done to the cheerleaders and why they can't have cheerleaders as an organization more is reason enough, in my opinion.
Dude, can you realize like how awkward that fucking room probably was? Like, how awkward was that? Like, there was like 90 lawyers, all 32 owners, and then like the front office of the NFL or whatever, and just scoffing. I bet there was literally like dudes out loud, just like, oh, every time Snyder, they had to say something, just fucking scoffing at him. I bet it got real weird in there. Let's just say that. Like, they do not like him.
The clique that is the NFL owners, and I think that this kind of clique, if you will, arises in any group of professional sports owners. Like, the MLB owners are a clique. The NBA owners are a clique. Like, it's just, that is what it is, but I think
they're white, they're billionaires. They have a lot in common.
They've all turned against him. And I was joking after the owners meetings and Irsay's comments, like, especially after what Dan Snyder said about, getting a bunch of dirt on a bunch of NFL owners. If Jim Irsay gets outed as outed for something in the next 6 months or really at any point, like you have to look at Dan Snyder first and see if Dan Snyder or money behind Dan Snyder was involved in that information coming out. Not saying if it's something bad that like Irsay shouldn't be punished for it because of how it got out, but Dan Snyder was probably behind it.
Absolutely. And like the fact that we're just like, Dan Snyder's that kind of person too. Like if you don't think he'll pull the trigger on that fucking deal every single time. I would be a little bit afraid, honestly, of Dan Snyder if I were an NFL owner at this point, because that motherfucker, dude, he'll run through some shit trying to keep that team. I guarantee it. It's just a pride thing for him at this point. You know, he's just a fucking rich asshole who just fucking is just like, he's like, I'm never going to fucking sell his team because I earned it. Okay. I earned it. And that's what he's going to do. And so it's just going to be it's going to be war.
He's going to fight it tooth and nail. And I think that's one of the things that people don't realize about just removing him. Like they are, because there are currently 5 investigations going. And so anything where ownership has to sell, that's going to be impeded by all of those investigations. So that's ultimately the reason why the NFL hasn't tried to do anything at this point, because ultimately they really won't be able to get anything done. And also, if information from those investigations turns up, anything that could clear Dan Snyder himself of any wrongdoing, that completely flips the script anyway. Now, obviously, that's not very likely to happen. In fact, I would say it probably won't. But there is still, while the investigation is pending, there is still the sliver of chance. So you have to let the investigations play out before you can do anything. But once that happens, I think that we see, I think once those investigations wrap up, especially the NFL and the congressional one, I think that it's going to be a pretty quick move where Dan Snyder is going to be forced to sell.
Do you remember any of those actual reports? Because the reports came out about the cheerleaders and they were basically taking them to an island or something, basically
there was
basically whoring him out.
Yeah, they're basically whoring him out. And being very misogynistic as far as in the workplace, sexually harassing female staffers within the actual, then Redskins or, Commanders, whatever, front office and staff and stuff like that. This wasn't in what happened to the cheerleaders is reason enough, in my opinion. Especially because he was aware of everything and involved. I'm sorry, but that's reason enough for me. You can't allow those things. You can't allow those things to happen. Because players aren't going to want to really commit to Washington as an organization with Dan Snyder there, because, you have daughters, you have sisters, you have mothers, you have female friends, wives, all that you're going to think about how this man would have treated them before he got caught. Because the changes that have come in the Washington Commanders organization, workplace culture, have not come because Dan Snyder proactively made these changes. They have come because Dan Snyder was caught and was forced to make changes.
100%. And do you think those people, even if it does change, Tony, what do you think those people that play for him are going to do anyway? They're going to be like, oh, well, he obviously didn't change this shit on his own fucking, on his own merit, basically, like you were saying. He didn't proactively do shit. So they know that if those things weren't in place and it didn't come out, that he would still be treating those people the same way. So that's why he has to go. He has to go. If you're the Redskins / Commanders, which have you noticed the nomenclature on that is you can call them by their former team name if you're referring to a year in which they were still that team name. Does that make sense?
Right.
That's the nomenclature on them.
With the Guardians. No, and it honestly, it makes sense because with the Cleveland Guardians,
Jim Thome played for the Cleveland Indians, right?
Exactly.
But now they're the Guardians. So you can say Jim Thome played for the Indians because that was actually the Indians then. So you can't it's exactly
when I interviewed Cam Carrion's son on winter meetings, and he played for the Red Sox or the White Sox, and then spent a couple of years with the Indians. He played for the Indians.
Absolutely.
That's just what it is. Yes, the team name has changed, but it was that. It is what it is. But there's so many things here that you have to just really consider with how much has to have changed for the end of the protection of the clique. if you will. Like I would say not only are they sick of the bad press and all of the conversations that aren't about football, they're about Dan Snyder being a misogynistic dick waffle. You've got the negative influence that appears on the NFL as a whole for allowing things to continue. You've got, how it makes owners look, because like ultimately, like when you think about what Robert Kraft did, getting a hand job from two prostitutes down in Florida that, we later found out were being trafficked, and he was not aware of that. But, there was that spike in the jokes and the keyboard warrior outrage that nobody cared about. But it went away. Right. This isn't something that's going to just go away by not talking about it. The NFL doesn't have a choice but to act.
No, and while Robert Kraft and Dan Snyder are like the polar opposites of like NFL owners. Like we bag on NFL owners all the time for being fucking like rich pricks, but like there's probably honestly like 7 to 8 to maybe 10 of them maximum that are probably just normal, pretty good dudes, right? Who actually hate Dan Snyder as a person because they probably know way more than we do. They probably know way more than we do, and it's probably super fucked up. And like they're probably just like, that guy's a fucking douchebag. Like they just stay away from him, right? But like I don't think he was even part of the other clique though. Like those, all the dicks that just like basically like they're not criminals or like they don't hurt people per se, but they're probably dicks. Even they were like, I don't know if Dan Snyder was even in that, because I feel like Dan Snyder, for probably the person that he is, and this is from just stuff that we've obviously heard, like obviously like you said, like they got the investigation needs to get done before we make a judgment on if he's really, really, a fucking monster, or like he just basically knew this shit was happening, but like, he wasn't that, like he knew it was happening, which is bad enough. But at the same time, like he wasn't like he was there, which I actually think I did read something about how he was actually there for the cheerleader stuff. On that,
yeah, the cheerleader stuff on an island. He was, a lot of that stuff. Cause like there was allegations that he was having cheerleaders spend time with individuals that were going to be like top tier advertisers and investors and, executives from those companies, because he needed that under the table squeezer to make sure they were relaxed enough and willing enough to take the deal.
I actually read, I think we both did. I actually read most of that report. Like I read quite a bit of it, and dude, it's clearly that he's whoring the cheerleaders out for.
Yeah, that's exactly what he was doing. He was pimping them out. Yeah.
But they were getting paid a bunch of money. And I know that a couple of them actually said, like, they were like, well, it was like really good money. Like they were basically just like, okay, they didn't care about doing it, honestly. But it's because they were like, I just get fucking paid a shit ton of money. But it's still not like, then those are the only ones that need to be there. Clearly, the other women who were there who said something about it were not in on the fucking thing, right? Like they didn't know what the fuck was going on until like they just showed up one day, like their first year, and they have to go to this island. They're like, oh yeah, we're just gonna like take some pictures like we usually do, right? They take a lot of pictures and stuff, cheerleaders. And then it got weird, and they had, and it was just blindside. Like they were basically springing consent, and then basically like, I'm sure you didn't have to, but it was highly implied that you had to.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
There is allegations of girls that didn't cooperate that lost their job.
Yeah, which
that's a pretty clear indication of a culture that is illegal.
I think that's the definition of sexual harassment in the workplace.
Yeah, that's and a violation of retaliation laws. Every state employment laws have retaliation laws. Like companies have all these policies about, we will not retaliate against you for reporting these things to us so we can deal with them, and you're protected from your manager being able to retaliate against you for turning them in for shit that they shouldn't do. Well, he was literally just doing that, and that's actually a violation of the law. The reason companies have those policies, obviously, they want to do good business and take care of their people, but ultimately, it's the law. They have to.
Right. They just don't want to get sued. That's why they have all those policies.
Right. They don't want it to get to the state and then getting sued for doing something that, they should just take care of it from within and not let it happen. So that's where, this is one of the big reasons why Dan Snyder is under the magnifying glass with the NFL, Congress. There's some state investigations going on. Hey, what's up, Will?
Should have happened like far before this though, too.
And
like
that's
the fact that they're just getting around to this.
And that's the thing. Like now, some of these investigations have been going for a couple of years, but based on the information, this is something that's been going on for over a decade.
Yeah.
Why is that like, how does that get that bad? That's what I don't understand. How many people have to be so fucking complacent that it gets that bad? That's what I don't understand. Like,
bro, $1 billion shuts a lot of mouths.
It
shuts a lot of mouths.
I don't get
and
it,
feeds a lot of mouths. Feeds a lot of mouths and shuts a lot of mouths. That's fucking power, dude. He's clearly like, so Jordan Peterson always talks about how to succeed in business. He's like, all businessmen are not assholes and pieces of shit. He's like, but there is a character trait where you have to be morally ambiguous enough to do the thing that your competitor would not do. Okay. These men are billionaires. Okay. So they have done some shit that their competitor was not willing to do morally. Okay. So that's already a bad thing. And then you have Snyder on top of this, who's probably not a good guy, even if he had $1,000 in his bank account. Probably not a good guy. Right.
Probably
and all
not,
that power,
yeah.
He's doing everything that like, dude, it was the end of his world basically when he actually like, oh, they're going to come out with a bunch of your stuff. Like he was, because he had to have been fending it off for 5 years now. You know what I'm saying? Like for it to come out public, like this public.
Yeah. Especially
so
with the depth of the allegations. That's the only, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, when you look at it, and a lot of it comes down to people enabling and being complacent. We look at the Deshaun Watson case. We're going to be talking about him tonight because he got another fucking lawsuit. There are to have the volume of victims, and that's how we'll say it, the volume of victims that these individuals have for their various inappropriate acts is proof that they were surrounded by complacent enablers.
Absolutely. And I feel like in that office of Dan Snyder's, it was just like, they're like, oh, this woman wants to report you. And she'd come in and be like, I'm going to tell people about the island. And I literally feel like he just made like his hair mouths and like just start shoving $100 bills in it. You know what I'm saying? Like in some weird way, like, I feel like that's what's going on. Like basically like, hey, here's this much money. We'll just write you this check. Okay. Here's a cashier's check. And maybe don't say anything about it. And that's all of it. And dude, honestly, think about it. Like put yourself in those people's shoes. Like whether it was the cheerleaders at the island or whatever, like if this guy offers me $65,000 to just like not say something about some shit, dude, I'm probably not going to say anything, honestly. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not going to know about that kind of shit, like the island stuff. But like, basically if I see something like, oh, I clearly know this is going on. This is sexual harassment law, right? I don't know if I'm going to report that. If it's something like minor, like that I see in the office, I don't really know the whole story. $65,000, bro, is a lot of money. You can shut a lot of mouths with that. You know what I'm saying?
I get that everybody has their price. I just wish that there was a line where that price didn't matter.
With the other owners, they don't care about his money because they have their own. So
Right.
They should have been you know what I'm saying? Like you can't expect a person who works there as a janitor or whatever, who's, witnessing sexual, or you can't expect them to be like, I'm going to stand up for what's right. Cause I don't know if, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think a whole lot of people do that. Do you?
They should.
They should, but do you think they do?
It doesn't happen. No. And you're right. And that's the contrast is it should happen, but it doesn't because there are so many of us that are so driven by the financial side of things that we take the bait. And I say we because, there could probably be some situation where I'm at a weak point, something happens and somebody goes, here's this amount of money to shut up. And we're all human. I could, I'm not going to be arrogant enough to say that I can't be bribed. But I as much as I would hope to be able to do the right thing and tell someone to go fuck off to, despite being offered $1 million to keep quiet about something that needs to be known. But, what's my situation? What am I dealing with? Am I dealing with my lights getting ready to get turned off? Is this,
my 3 kids who I can't really, like, I struggle to take care of, honestly. Like, it's that kind of shit.
Because that's how they do it. They don't just go, oh, hey, here's $1 million to shut up. It's, hey, you're struggling financially. Yeah, I understand that you saw what you saw. But this $1 million would put you in a situation where you don't need to worry about what you saw. You don't have to think about it because you have a new house and you can invest in whatever business you want. Just go away.
Encourage them. They probably encourage them to move away and resign willingly, right? Like maybe just move down to Orlando, Orlando's
here's
nice.
This is your severance package. They're going to, because they're salesmen. That's what they are. They're salesmen. Exactly.
Order.
And so there is, and we can all say, oh, I would never. But you're not in that person's situation or what they're going home to and what their motivation was for taking that money in the first place.
I want to specify.
It's selfish, but it is what it is.
If we knew, I agree with you. If we knew everything that Dan Snyder was doing, like we knew the whole fucking story, right? We knew all the facts and everything. Then it's going to be hard for me to honestly probably take money for it. Because like at that point, that influences so many different people. And I feel like that's bigger than you. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that's bigger than you, like your own financial gain.
For the small situations, because, remember, the Dan Snyder situation is not just one thing. It's a bunch of small things that happened over time that have turned into a big thing, a pattern, right? Just like Deshaun Watson. The problem is, yes, Deshaun Watson sexually harassing and assaulting one massage therapist is a problem. But the fact that he has been able to do it to this many women, that's a bunch of small things over time that were allowed to happen.
How many people's lives that, was negatively influenced by those chain of actions is really, and like, I'll tell you that, like, if I know the whole story, then no, probably not. But yeah, like on the smaller stuff, like if you're, you see some, I don't even know what it would be like, some office place thing where you don't know the whole story behind it. And it's not really that big of a deal, but like you're, encouraged to report it, blah, blah. And then that happens. I honestly don't know how many people are not taking that money. Do you know what I'm saying? Like if they don't know the whole story, they just think like, oh, well, that's just like one employee doing it to another one. It's not the whole, this isn't the whole network like it really is. I can see that, but they take the money at that point. But like, if you know the whole story, I get it. But
yeah, and that's the thing is it's really, really hard. It's really, really difficult because there's just so fucking much, and no one person outside of basically Dan Snyder himself has been involved in every single one of those situations.
Right.
And that's how, and I think that's ultimately the answer. That's how the silence stays, is it's not the same crowd over and over again. You think Dan Snyder has had the same assistant for 20 years? No. Dan Snyder goes through assistants like he goes through underwear. Every 6 months, new ones come in. Just
right. They just, they just think that that's normal. Like they're just like, yeah, well, they obviously, they got a better. And sometimes that happens too. They'll offer you a better fucking job somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, we're going to go ahead and promote you and move you to blah, blah, like also this and that and sign this gag order and then you go away. And it's like, okay, so I had a guy tell me one time that he's like, how people talk shit on snitches all the time, right? Anybody who snitches on somebody else. He said that
snitches get stitches, all of that stuff.
He said that you don't know. He said that you don't know. He's like, the only time you can talk shit to a snitch is if you have been put in that situation and not snitched. He goes, because you don't know how you would react. Because you might be looking at 10 years, right? Or some guy's name that you don't give a fuck about. And he's like, which one are you usually taking? He's like, if you actually are put in that position, which one are you taking? He's like, so you can only talk shit to snitches if you've not snitched. If you've been made to, you took your time like a champ, right? And it's kind of the same thing as like, we don't know
you've taken the fall. You've taken the hit that you shouldn't have for somebody else.
Yes, right.
Or and like you were only a small player, but because you wouldn't give up the big player, you got the full brunt of the punishment.
Yes, and I feel like that's kind of the same thing as far as like we don't know in those people's shoes. You know what I'm saying? Like when this happened, I don't know what I would do. Honestly, I never put in that position. Nobody's ever offered to pay me $65,000 to like fucking be like, hey, don't talk about how Tim grabbed Miranda's ass that you saw. Like, just don't talk about that. I know it was weird. Maybe just forget about it. Like, I'm probably going to be like, all right, I feel like, whatever.
Yeah. And because of the career impact that having the NFL on your resume has, you also don't want to worry about negative professional repercussions of, having a bad reference from your time being employed or interning at the NFL. Nobody wants that, because that's some heavy weight. And I think that's where, and that's what makes what Dan Snyder did even worse, because he leveraged that power on these individuals to get what he wanted.
Power and money. And he did it for probably, I mean, you said a couple of years that some of the investigations have been going on, but like, that's
those
just
allegations that go back over a decade.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So like that, like it's a culture. That's what happens. Yeah. That's what happens with the what are they? The Senators? I'm just kidding. The Guardians? Is it the Guardians? No, that's the Cleveland team. Okay. No, I'm just kidding. The Commanders. But yeah, that's how it's been with the Redskins and the Commanders, because even back to the Redskins days.
Right. And so I hope that the owners can get something done. I hope that through the investigations that things get, that people get justice, because ultimately that's the thing. Justice needs to be served. And that's often a comprehensive answer where not everybody wins, but the ultimate result is that something is done. Because the truth is it's not always the case that something can, that everything that we want can be done. In a perfect world, if all of these allegations are true, Dan Snyder rots for the rest of his life in jail. But that's probably not going to happen.
No, there's not a snowball's chance in hell.
But realistically, he can be forced to sell the team. So while he's had his money printing business and he's going to lose it, and he's still, he's going to lose it. Yes, he's still going to be a billionaire once the sale
Let's not
closes.
Weep for Dan Snyder. Yeah, I think he'll be, right.
He'll be all right. But at the same time,
he owns it.
It's what else can you do? Like, even just being able to force somebody to sell their business as the owner, and they're the owner, like that's just a remarkable thing.
Right. That doesn't happen. Like on a normal person scale. You know what I'm saying? Like just like a business owner who owns a car shop or something. Like if they run a fucking terrible piece of shit con artist shop, they don't really ever get forced to sell it. They can get criminal charges and get, and get a bad review on Yelp, but like they're not going to fucking get criminal charges and somebody's not going to sell, or they can get criminal charges, but nobody's going to make them sell their business. They're still going to own it. Whether that business has a bad name or not, like they're still going to own it. That's the weirdest thing to me is like, I don't get how, I don't even know how you can make him sell it. You know what I'm saying? Like for what? What other, point in America does that happen? Like at a lower grade, a lower scale? It doesn't.
Right.
Does it? Unless I'm missing something.
I mean, I think it does.
You think it does?
Okay, wait.
Matter?
Hold on. I think
it's all right. What's the Yankees Astros score?
I don't think you want to know.
Is it 6-2?
3-2, top of the ninth, from what I can see.
Presley's in. Yeah, here we go. Ryan Presley is the weirdest closer I've ever seen him. He's like a starting pitcher closer. He literally is like he has 4 pitches. He comes out like does he just not have like that? He used to be a middle reliever, I know. Like he would go long innings or longer innings for a reliever. But now he's a closer and he doesn't throw again. He throws like 95, right? And he has 4 different pitches. So I guess that's what he's doing is just probably throwing all 4 in sequence, right? You would just throw them all randomly.
Right.
Try and confuse guys for 3 outs, basically, right? I mean, that's basically what
that's really all he can do. And when you look at he's a talented pitcher. You've got where they're at in the lineup. It's Rizzo, Torres, and Donaldson coming up. That's a meaty part when you're only down by 1 run, and you can get a 15 pitch at bat out of Rizzo if he does it right. So it's an interesting thing, but ultimately I think short of a miracle, chances are you're probably going to see the Astros grow up 2-0 on you, buddy.
I would think so too, honestly. But Donaldson got off the schneid earlier tonight. He was 0 for like 19 with like 15 strikeouts in the playoffs, something like that. It was something stupid.
Right.
He has 8 consecutive games where he struck out 2 times. I don't think he struck out twice in this. I don't think he struck out at all. So like he doubled in the second inning. So I mean, he's at least got contact with the ball at this point. Because if he was in the same slump that he was in last night, I'd be like, we're fucked. He's gonna strike out for sure.
Yeah, because he's only hitting 167 in the playoffs.
Yeah, he's been terrible. Struck out a shit ton of times.
And that's the thing is you've got to get it out. You've got to get that hit out of those 3 because that after that you're in your bottom third of the lineup, and all 3 of those guys have not gotten a hit in the postseason. So
exactly,
you got to get it done now because you're You really want to try and get 2 out of this and keep them from scoring so you can win now, because you don't want to have to rely on those 3 either in this inning or in the 10th if it gets to that. So
if this goes to extras, I actually feel good about it.
If you can get back around to the top of your lineup.
Rizzo hit a huge homer last night.
Yeah.
But it wasn't huge because it didn't put him up, or even tie the game. But he is 0 for 4 with a strikeout and a walk against Ryan Presley all time. 0-1.
And then the Thursday Night Football, the Arizona Cardinals are up 35-17 on the New Orleans Saints. I think largely in part to 2 interceptions that turned into touchdowns that were thrown by the ginger quarterback man, Andy Dalton.
He has no soul.
I don't think he does.
You're almost a ginger though, so I probably shouldn't talk shit out. You're
ginger,
pretty.
no.
You're edging on some Irish, like just straight Scottish fucking gingerism. Why is it always the Scottish and Irish guys? Fucking Brian Scalabrine. Fucking Brian Scalabrine is a fucking ginger. Fucking ginger. He's tall as shit too.
Gingers.
I've seen him fucking drink a whole keg of beer. A whole keg.
So I started messing with my son when he's playing video games and he's running his mouth. He's pissing me off. I started talking in a different voice. I was going, Michael, what are you doing, Michael? Michael, are you playing your video games?
It's like Mort Goldman.
Yeah, kind of like a combination between Mort Goldman and the old lady from SpongeBob, like the really old. Chocolate? I love chocolate.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Isn't she like she's like a gray fish, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
just a really old lady. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Howard's mom from Big Bang Theory. Howard.
I think they're trying to do a Jewish accent. Dun, 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 there.
Dun, dun.
Did you ever disclose your genealogy test?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know that I ever talked about it live. I
think we should figure out what archipelago of things that your ancestors fucked each other. Like they were just going over borderlines and everything.
That was an interesting thing. Like if you don't know a lot about your heritage, like for me, I grew up without a dad, so I don't know half of my entire family. I don't know anything. And I did a 23andMe, or no, it was the Ancestry DNA test. And I learned that, as would be expected, like 80%, like 20, all but like 26% of my genetic makeup is England, Scotland, and Ireland.
Right. Like, right in the middle of Ginger Alley. Just
like super, super white, as can be expected. But then the other part, this very specific part of Central Italy that it gave me, which I thought was interesting. Lebanese, a little bit of Lebanese and Albanian, a little bit of Middle Eastern, like Jordan, stuff like that. Greece.
One of your ancestors bought a wife over there.
Yeah, I would say that somewhere along the line, somebody banged an Arab. That's
1712. They were on the Silk Road, just banging Lebanese people.
Late 1800s, early 1900s. Somebody was banging a Lebanese chick. Like I think that's what it was.
I mean, good for them.
Hey, more power to you as long as it was consensual, right?
It took like a month and a half to get to another country at that point. So they were just like staying there. You know what I'm saying? Like they just basically had to stay there for a couple of months because it took them a month and a half to get there through camel.
Through camel.
Camel, where it's negative 30 at night and 114 during the day.
Like, can you imagine though? Because like now, like we have with the great thing with technology and stuff in modern day, like we get home from a long sweaty day, we can take a quick 5-minute shower, and then we're good for our partners. We can have that fun, play around, and be reconnect, if you will. But back in that day, if you went a month and a half without seeing your partner because they were riding across the desert on a camel, it took a few days before you could handle being around them because the smell was so bad. You had to hope they went down to the river and washed off when they got home. Because otherwise, like, you didn't want to be in the same hut.
They just had like a bowl that had water in it, and everybody just used it it was just a big, communion shower bowl of grossness.
Of grossness.
So fucking Presley struck out Anthony Rizzo. Anthony Rizzo, 8-pitch at bat, strikes out on a 2-2 count.
Torres just struck out, it looks like.
Now he's got I think there's 2 strikes, unless he did just strike out. No, did he? No, 1-2. Yeah, that's what I thought. Unless you're ahead of me.
I think the ESPN feed is because I'm watching on the ESPN website, just the games, the Gamecast feed.
And you have 2 outs?
Yeah, 2 outs. Josh Donaldson's up to bat.
Oh God. So I'll just let you, because you're like at least 15, 20, 30 seconds ahead of me. I don't know how, but yeah. So good. Tell the future. Torres strikes out.
Torres strikes out. So we got 1-0 count on Josh Donaldson with Presley up to bat. 2 Ks so far for Presley this evening. And then second pitch down and away as well. 2-0. Josh Donaldson just trying to get back into it after being down for a little while.
I think, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, he was, dude.
He was injured for a while, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was injured towards the end of the year. What is going on with him is, what is it? What's going on with him is that his bat speed is not what it used to be because he's getting older, and I think he does that big leg kick and he tries to fucking swing really hard. And I like him at the end of the games though, because here's what's happening. He's nervous right now, so he's gonna get his foot down sooner. And when they just like try and make contact, dude, they're all really fucking good. And what's going on is like they just try to homer all the time, dude. They're still the Bombers at heart. I think they all just want to hit homers because they hit like 200. They had like 260 during the regular season. That's ridiculous. They were the only team with 30 plus, so they're just used to just ball. I mean, Judge hit 62. They're just used to fucking the ball going out. Like that's how they're gonna win.
Donaldson fouled one off, and then another ball inside. Count is 3-1 for Josh Donaldson.
Okay, so you're not too. Yeah, you're about 30 seconds ahead of me. I got 2-0. But Gleyber Torres too, man. That big leg kick is killing him because he can't get to the ball, dude. He's late on everything.
When I'm going into my suit, because I was thinking about it the other day, because I know there was one time where I talked some on the winter meetings. I was interviewing somebody and I kind of talked some shit on power hitters that kind of lift their leg up like that. And so I was thinking, I was like, wait, I tried to go back and think about my swing. I was like, I step into it a little bit, but I'm talking my foot's maybe this far off the ground. Like, maybe.
Right. Which is actually a pretty high leg.
8 inches? Like 8 inches.
That's a high leg kick.
That's not very. Like but it doesn't even I don't even pull back. It's just like I lift it up, and then as I go into my swing, I plan it and make sure that power transfers in.
You're creating momentum. You're creating momentum like a golf swing, basically. Like you're kind of getting back into it, and then that's basically what it is. It's like you're just coming through the ball, and like what's happening is these guys fucking have that big leg kick and they're getting behind everything because Donaldson can't swing like he used to. He's 37 or something like that. Like he's not.
Donaldson walked, so you got one on with the elite power hitter of
Giancarlo, dude. Is it really? God damn it. Oh, we are in the late stages, aren't we?
Yeah, Stanton's third in the lineup today, and he's also 0 for 4. So
struck out probably 3 times. No, he didn't. He didn't. He hit a couple. He put a couple in play. Struck out maybe once.
He just struck out in the 8th. His first 2 hits, his first 2 times at the plate were groundouts.
I can tell the future too, Tony. No. Yeah, no. What was the Lebanese thing? Was in your genealogy to go back real quick. Yeah, that was the funny one.
I
Middle Eastern.
So what was really funny was because what I was seeing like on the DNA test, like I went in because like the local convenience store that's right around the corner from my apartment, it's owned by some guys that are Middle Eastern, and I've been going in there for a few years. Like I talk to them, they get me good deals on stuff. Like we're legitimately, like I say we're friends. Like it's a business, casual business relationship, but we talk to each other. And I was showing them the results, and they said that basically what it meant is, that chunk that were with the central Italy, Greece and Albania, and all of those ones that I talked about after that, said basically it meant that I was probably Arab, partly. And I was like, maybe that's why I'm to bomb at parties.
Yes. And they were, yeah.
And they laughed at that joke. They thought it was funny.
I thought it was funny, but why did where's the crickets at from Will? We just needed the cricket.
You can bite me.
No, they were giving you shit basically, weren't they though? You said they were kind of giving you shit for being like, oh, you're Middle Eastern, blah blah, like just, and they were Middle Eastern.
No, because they thought I was going to come back that I was like super Jewish, and they're all Muslim.
Right.
They're all Muslim, really nice guys. Like, but they've started, like, when I go in, like if they're dead, like they'll teach me about something else about the culture from the area. I've kind of learned a little bit about Ramadan. They've showed me a couple of things that they eat, and I've gotten to try some stuff that's more Middle Eastern cuisine that you don't normally see, stuff they made back home, Pakistan, that type of thing. Legitimately good food, by the way. Amazing food. They really good with spices. Like they use spices amazing. It's an art form for them, I feel like. Great food.
I mean, that's all they had. I mean, that's all they basically were having there. You know what I'm saying? Was just like a couple of seasonings, and you got to fucking season the shit out of it because it's usually pretty gross food. You know what I'm saying? Like that was a long time ago, but obviously now they just like, hey, we can make good food fucking taste awesome with that seasoning too. It's like, and then it tastes amazing. It's spicy shit usually.
Yeah, I actually did a little bit of both. One that was more savory, one that was more spicy. But all very good food. And just the nicest guys, more, willing to ask, let me ask questions, willing to understand that I'm not trying to be mean with anything. I just want to understand, it's a way for me to understand part of my culture, because all of that stuff does come from my biological father's side of the family. Like, because one of the great things about the DNA test on Ancestry.com is you see which part of your DNA test comes from parent 1 and parent 2. Now, one look at my mom, it's pretty easy to see that all of the whiteness from me comes from her, whereas with my biological father, I have met him a few times, and he does have darker skin. He's not like, any one specific, like super black Indian or whatever.
Olive colored skin.
It's just a very dark, tan to olive skin, because I think it's more the Italian piece of it that's coming out more than anything. But
right.
So getting to learn that stuff and start to understand that has been legitimately pretty cool.
Right. And so there's the very, very small percentage of Muslims who blow things up. And then there's about 10% that just actually hate Americans, mostly because we're not Muslim. And then there's like the other 89%, right, is dudes who just like they don't take that stuff fucking literally, and they don't think that you should hate everybody else who's not, you know what I'm saying? Like they still believe in it. They're still Muslims. They're just as good a Muslim as any other Muslim, right? But like they just don't believe that you should probably like kill other people just because they don't because they're just realistic and probably kind of intelligent. You know what I'm saying? He's like, I think that's the other 89%.
The guys that run that shop that were talking to me, like when I started asking questions to understand about Ramadan and, understanding why they do it, because they're not super, they don't like super practice or anything like that. Like they told me they don't go to, whatever the mass temple, mosque, whatever it's called. They don't go all that often, but there's still certain things that they do, like they practice Ramadan. And the guy that is the majority owner, he told me, he goes, man, I tell you what, the reason that I do it is because it's good on the belly. I lose some weight and my mind gets clearer. And
exactly, dude. That's what they're right. That's what they're there for.
And that's the thing, that's what's great about these guys, because they're older, so they're more, they understand that their role as an older individual for their culture is teaching. And that's what they do. And they do it in a great way. I've learned a lot of things. They haven't said, hey, you should come to mosque with us. No, it's like, hey, do you want to try this food that's really, really good? Hey, you have a hookah, right? Yeah, okay, just making sure. Since you're Middle Eastern, you're required to have one in your home, even if you don't use it. Oh, okay, yeah, so I have 4. Which is true. I do. I used to collect them.
Right.
Because because down here in Phoenix, I was down here from 18 to 21. And if you weren't 21, you couldn't get into the bars even as a DD like you can in some states. And so we would all go to hookah lounges and pool halls. Well, the place that I usually went to was a combination of the two. And so because of that, I ended up really falling for, liking hookah, because for those of you that don't know, normal hookah nowadays, it's an organically grown tobacco that you smoke out of it that's actually been soaked in different flavors of molasses.
Delicious.
And absolutely amazing. You get nice thick clouds of smoke, like vapors, but it's a little cooler. Very relaxing because it does have a little bit of nicotine in it, but less than a cigarette, honestly.
And I think it's got like the awesome properties of natural tobacco too. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a little bit
Right.
more natural, not so processed. So it's like, it's kind of just, it's very relaxing, like how it's
Yeah.
supposed to
Yeah.
be. Like,
And the great thing about hookahs is like they're designed to be so social, because like typically like you'll have hookahs going and like you're either passing hoses around, or you have the style where it's got multiple hoses so that everybody's got their own. And this is where in a lot of the Middle Eastern culture, a lot of these men, they just sit, and this is where they talk about what's going on in the world. They talk, they listen to each other's problems and help each other out. Like that's a time where, a lot, especially in a lot, because they're more patriarchal, if you will, in Muslim cultures for the most part, the men are sitting around, and this is guy time. That's what they do. For American men, a lot of times we're sitting around having beers, drinking whiskey, sitting around a fire, whatever. It's their version of that.
yes.
And it's a very amazing thing to just sit and relax and do. I'm one of those, I like the sweeter flavors. Definitely like blueberry vanilla is one of my favorites when I sit down and actually have a hookah. But like a lot of the Middle Eastern cultures, they have a flavor that's like they call it double apple, but it smells like licorice. And they'll do flavors like rose, and sometimes they'll cut them with vanilla if you want to make it a little sweeter, because they are very strong flavors that can make you lightheaded and nauseous if you're not careful. But they do a little more earthy flavors, but they're either way so good. Like
it's like having a chocolate or a caramel, but in a smoke version.
Yeah,
it's very nice. It's very like it's coffee. It's coffee and cigarettes for Americans, kind of.
Yeah,
thing.
it's
like
their
beers
thing.
Beers and stogies.
Or sometimes they'll get a little crazy and they'll put alcohol in the base of the hookah, and then you're inhaling tobacco smoke that was vaporized through alcohol.
It's beautiful, and then you get a nice little buzz going.
Nice little buzz.
But
don't do that often, because it's actually very, very dangerous and shouldn't be done. But
when is Ramadan? I'm about to suggest something that's down the same road. When does Ramadan start?
Honestly, I don't know. I think it's on because the Muslims, I believe it, the way that I've learned it, and I could be wrong here, but the way that I've learned it, they're on a different calendar for that type of stuff than us. I know that, like, I've seen Ramadan happen in the summer. I've seen it happen closer to fall. It could be, hold on, let's see. Come on, Google,
whenever it does, Tony, here's what we're going to do. We're going to call it Mush Ramadan, and we're going to microdose mushrooms the entire time.
We are not going to disrespect their faith like that, man. Come on. That's just disrespectful.
Well, then do what they do.
Well, yeah, no, and honestly, like
I actually do it, but then microdose mushrooms.
Because I mean, the big piece of it that people talk about is no food from sun up to sundown, and then typically during Ramadan, there's different things that you do in the evenings as part of each day of the holiday, similar to like the like Hanukkah for those of the Jewish faith. There's different things that they do. Like I have a friend who's Muslim, where every year on the first night of Ramadan, he invites people over that are not Muslim to ask questions. He makes they make everybody dinner, hang out. It's a social event, but it's their version of Sober October, but they're also doing intermittent fasting during the day. That's the gist of what they're doing. Outside of the spiritual work that they do, which if you're not Muslim, but you want to see what the experience is like, deal with, what's your own spirituality? Learn about Ramadan and then adapt it to your practices. Like, exactly. I'm not Catholic, but I've given stuff up for Lent before.
That's what I'm saying, Tony, though, for real.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. It's like, just
you can learn about that stuff for other people. Yeah.
I like that thing that the dude at the gas station said, or the shop said. He basically said, like, I just, it's good for me. Like, I feel better while I'm doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I actually feel better just naturally. Like, I'm not like, he's probably not into like all the ritualistic stuff, which is fine, whatever. But like, he's still just doing it, and then it actually makes him feel good. He's like, I love that, because that's what it's actually for. It's not for all the, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not for all that. It just makes you feel better. And like, they just, general wellness is what they understood about it.
They're kind, and I think they approach their beliefs in the same fashion that I do. My faith is important to me, but I'm not going to bug somebody else about it. But at the same time, if somebody wants to ask questions to legitimately understand, I'm going to be happy to sit down and talk with somebody about that, because that means that they're taking an interest in something that's important to me. And I would be a dick if I didn't sit down and, explain it in an objective manner. And I think that's important. And I think that's an important discussion, because there's so many people that look at their beliefs through rose-colored glasses. Like, I understand, I identify as a Christian, even if I don't, practice this the same way that most Christians do. I identify as a Christian. I do so with the understanding of the negative views of religious Christians, but I also understand that I'm not them, and I don't have anything to feel bad for. I don't hate somebody because they're gay or because of their difference in belief. I've never condemned a woman for getting an abortion. In fact, I've driven a few to go get one. But I understand through my own stuff the importance of my personal faith and my higher power versus some nutsack that's throwing a bunch of religious law around that was exactly what Jesus was preaching against in the first place. He was very anti-religious law, and that's so many people forget to make that distinction, and I find it interesting.
It's been made what maybe some higher ups wanted it to be made. You know what I'm saying? And do you ever notice, like, as individuals, we can sit here and almost every single person that we would talk with this about, like, most people would say the exact same thing. Like, I believe what I believe, and like, I don't really care, like, as long as I'm not infringing on what they do and they're not infringing on me, like, I don't really care. I think most people would say that, right? But groups of people are the problem, because then they start to do, like, just lean in because they don't want to be the awkward, the odd one out, blah, blah, like, that's where it becomes a problem.
It's we've talked about this before on this show. It's like that quote from Men in Black: a person can be smart.
It's smart,
but people are dumb.
Dumb, panicky animals, and you know it.
And there is a, like, and Amber watches it. For those of you who don't know, my partner Amber, she watches a lot of, like, the investigative murder mysteries and documentaries and stuff like that.
Her name's actually Martha.
I call her Martha, even though that's not even close to her name.
It's not even. There's nothing really similar. It's just a polar opposite.
It's great, and she has to suffer with living through somebody that has ADHD and has a completely random attitude. One day we're sitting there talking about finances and we're trying to figure some stuff out, and she looks at me, she goes, "What should we do?" Without even missing a beat, I looked at her and I said, "You should get a pirate treasure map tattooed on your ass." And she goes, how is that going to fix things? And I said, so that when it's sexy time, I could say, "Martha, fetch me my pirate booty."
Yes.
She did not find that as funny as I did.
I think that's fantastic. I mean, I think it's everything.
It's genius. I think I am genius. She just does not appreciate my brilliance. I think that's what the problem is.
I mean, duh, right? Clearly. I think that a lot too, man. I'm like, dude, I bet, like, can you imagine what it's probably like living with me? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that a lot. I'm like, Jesus fuck, dude. I don't know if I can hack it.
I pray for her every day.
This look that I'm getting
every day.
This look that I'm getting out of my right side right now is fantastic. Just a straight.
Every once in a while, I'll send her a message. It's like, hey, just like send me a message if you need to get out. I can send somebody up to come get you for your safety.
It just says hanging. It's like that picture of that kitten. It's like that office picture of the kitten. Everybody's just like, hang in there. It's like, Tony, I feel like this is serious, but also the kitten picture. Getting me every time.
Okay, so before we move forward, we're going to take a quick break. We're on some ads for all of our shows. Quick shout out again to those of you that are listening on West Coast Radio. We appreciate you. Don't forget, you can catch us live Thursday nights at 10 Eastern on our YouTube Sports Report podcast. Definitely check us out. We'll be back with you guys in just a few moments.
Even when you feel low, you can still go.
Wrap up your Monday with some laughs. Make sure to join Will, Seven, Dan the Dick Warner, and Josie as they dive into the hottest topics of the week across sports, including baseball, basketball, and the NFL. You can catch the episode live Monday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern on youtube.com/The Sports Report Podcast, or Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern on West Coast Radio. Don't miss the Sports Report Podcast. Don't miss Fight Night. Every Tuesday night, Will Morgan and Josie Haney break down the hottest topics of the week across combat sports, including UFC, boxing, WWE, AEW, and more. Past episodes are available on youtube.com/The Sports Report Podcast, and each episode will air again Thursday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern on West Coast Radio. Don't miss Fight Night. Tune in or tap out. Put the kids to bed, put on your shades, and crack open a cold one during Sports Report After Dark with Seven and Dan the Dick Warner. You can catch After Dark Thursday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern on youtube.com/The Sports Report Podcast, and again Saturday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern on West Coast Radio. We believe that athletes are people too, and Skip Bayless is one of the lizard people. Don't miss Sports Report After Dark. Dan, we have some breaking news. Feel bad for you. I have to say this. The New York Yankees have officially lost to the Houston Astros 3-2. Series goes back to New York with the Yankees down 2-0.
Apologize if I seem a little bit aloof. If I seem a bit aloof for the rest of the show, it's probably because I'm trying to process that whole thing. I'm just kidding. No, I saw that. 2-0. I mean,
can the Yankees recover from here?
Yeah, absolutely. They can still win the series. Are the chances great? No. I mean, this is going to be a near historic comeback. If they come back and win the series at this point, like, what's the percentage on down 0-2? It's not great.
I mean,
the 7-game series, championship series,
not great. I mean, the Red Sox are the only ones that have ever come back from down 3-0 in Major League Baseball.
Right. I knew that, but 2-0 is probably not near that bad because you get 2 at home. There's absolutely a way that they can fucking win 2 at home in a row. That's not out of any question. I don't think they've clearly played. I mean, this is what happened last time. Yeah, in the 4-game series, it was huge. Like the Yankees were struggling in the middle of the year or towards the end of the year. The huge 4-game home and home with the Astros, and they went 2 in Houston, and they don't win in Houston. Like that stadium's. That's why
they're going to have to win at least once in Houston. They're going to have to figure that out if they want to advance.
If it goes Game 7, dude, it's in Houston. It's they need to get it done in 6 at this point. Like that's the best.
Honestly, I was thinking about something. Game 7, with the way that things are going, it is entirely possible that you end up getting, because of off days, you might actually have either Nasty Nestor or Garrett Cole pitching on Game 7. Your odds are better, but. Honestly, I'm with you. If it goes to Game 7 in Houston, I'm going to take the Astros.
If it's Verlander Cole, which you would have to make it basically.
I would think, yeah.
If it's Verlander Cole, we're fucked. I'm saying it right now, we're fucked. Garrett Cole has been awesome in the playoffs, dude. He's actually come through, and I appreciate the shit out of him about it. I think he's a serial killer, by the way. If you ever like just watch Garrett Cole and like watch his mannerisms, dude, it is hilarious. Like he's a robot. Like I think they just like wind him up. Like I think he just stays in like in a charging booth, just stands there all night and charges like with his eyes open. And then they bring him out and they like turn him like one of those old monkeys that used to clap the cymbals. They just turn his back. That's what it's got, one of those big things in the middle of it. Just wind it up and he can go for 24 hours. You just got to catch him again and charge him back up,
Yeah.
It's weird.
It is weird.
He's good for a week.
He's good for
his start and then his rest days. You charge him back up right before the start. He gets a good charge in the night before. But no, he's a weirdo, and he's a savage, and he's actually done great in the playoffs. But versus Verlander, dude, Verlander's like a pitching machine that strikes 10 dudes out. It's like if you set the pitching machine to curveball. If you spin it a little bit.
Here's the thing for me, like Verlander is just on a completely different level right now. And it's so insane, but you look at Cole and you know that he's trying to just will this to happen. Like you can see it, like the press conference after the Cleveland game when they were asking him about Naylor's rock the baby celebration, and then they ultimately, and then Cleveland ultimately lies. He's just like, that's cute.
That was cute. Like, that's cute. And he stops talking. Like he's like, that was cute. And then he stops. He pauses for like 10 seconds. It's weird.
Like he just lets that sit there. He reminds me like Zach Greinke without the anxiety and possible maybe a little autism in there. Like you take that piece. Again, no disrespect to Zach Greinke. He's an amazing pitcher. I absolutely love him. Like I'm just saying in comparative sense, like if you take that piece out of Zach Greinke, that's Garrett Cole.
He's like Greinke, like without the eccentricity. Does that make sense? Like he's not very like he's not like out there, and so he's like, which is even creepier. That's some straight serial killer shit. But speaking of Greinke, did you see fucking Greinke's weird ass picture that his wife posted the other day?
Yeah, when they went to the Mariners and Astros game.
For anybody who hasn't seen it, Greinke went to a playoff game this year in disguise with his family, and it is the most hilarious white guy appropriate fucking outfit. He's wearing like a fucking like Duck Dynasty shirt or something. I can't remember what it is. It's like some like with like a it's a trucker hat that says Bush Light on it. It's some ridiculous like.
No, it was one of those like floppy sun hats, little floppy.
Yes. It's like one of those with a string underneath his neck like this, right? Yep. He's got it all open, and like hilarious. Wearing sunglasses at night, which is fantastic. Like I would have been like, "Hey, there's Zach Greinke right there."
I mean, but we watch enough that like, and of course we both like Zach Greinke, so we look at that, we're just like, oh yeah, that's Zach Greinke. Like, but he doesn't want to be bugged because we understand, we pay enough attention that like we're not gonna fucking bug him. He's watching a baseball game with his family. Like he doesn't get to actually do that very much.
The hilarious part is that we would recognize him, and I think that's the funniest thing. Is like I would literally just be like, "What's up, man?" Like trying to not make it known that I know who you are, but like I'm super excited about it. Like, oh, bro, can I meet you real quick? Like, and they'd be like, "Who's that guy?" Right? But like,
oh, he was in the minors. He didn't do very. He never made it to the pros. I just watched him play a lot of minor league ball, and I'm a big fan.
I know him from back in Kansas City. Don't worry about it. No, but right, but. My mom tells this story all the time, and I'll make it quick. I was on the fucking detonator at Worlds of Fun, and for people who have never been to Worlds of Fun in Kansas, you know what I'm talking about? Like the straight up, it's one of those straight up and down rides where it's just like the huge pole in the middle of the fucking theme park, and like you just go up, right? And you just go up really fast, and then you come down
up and down really fast. Yeah.
It's just simple, the straight line. Okay, I was on one of those at a theme park one time, and Kareem Rush. You remember Kareem Rush? Played for the Missouri Tigers and then obviously played in the NBA. He was a good left-handed three-point shooter for a while. Actually, like stud pro, right?
Yeah.
This would have been when he was at Missouri still. So like 2000, 2001. I was probably like 10 or 11. Yeah. I'm on the detonator. My mom tells the story all the time. I think it's hilarious. I'm on and we're like going up the first, like where you like go on the theme park thing. And she thought it was hilarious. I wasn't paying attention to the ride at all because I saw Kareem Rush at Worlds of Fun, and he was like walking with two dudes. And I was like, "Mom, Kareem Rush!" I was like, "Get me the fuck off of this ride!" Like I was freaking out. And she thinks it's hilarious because I was like, I went and got his autograph. Did I have Kareem Rush's autograph on a Worlds of Fun pamphlet? Swear to you. And like, did it in a he signed it on a fucking on a counter in a gift shop where the black girl behind the counter was so clearly hitting on him, like just literally just being like, it was ridiculous, dude. Like trying to go home with him that day. I got an autograph from Kareem Rush. There was like 10 kids. There's like 10 kids around him. Like I was like the last one to get it signed. He was awesome. He was like, "Oh, no problem." He goes, "No problem, bud," and just like kept flirting with the black chick behind the counter. But
I mean, come on, he only had one more year at that point before his life changed. He was in the NBA and he couldn't trust him anymore. Like.
I was
barely
super
trust
excited
him at that point because of the fact of who he was, you know?
At that point, I was like, so like, I still am like, but like, they were such icons to me. Like I had watched, you know what I'm saying? Like they were such icons to me. And like, this dude is huge, by the way. He's 6'9", so he's fucking gigantic. And like, he was huge. And like, but like, I was just like happy that he said like, hey, no problem, bud. Right. And I was like, I thought that was the coolest shit ever. And he gave me a fucking autograph, dude. He autographed a fucking pamphlet. And he was like being really cool about it. Like all the kids were like coming up to him and shit. And he was like signing everything. But yeah, like, but recognizing Zach Greinke would have been hilarious. And also,
absolutely.
Yeah, because he was in the fucking most hilarious. People look that up. You guys will get a good laugh out of what he thought of fucking normal Midwestern, you know, white guy looked like. It's fantastic.
I mean, it's not horribly far off. Quick update on Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime Video. Arizona Cardinals currently have the ball and are leading 42-31 against the New Orleans Saints with, it looks like, about 2 minutes and 59 seconds left.
If you had to watch the Thursday Night Football game between the Saints and whoever, you might be entitled to compensation.
This is the most offensively active game that Thursday Night Football has had. And what was great was at the start of the game, like when the action started to hit off and there was some solid like pass catching and runs and stuff like that. Herb Strait and Al Michaels were like, really? We're getting this on Thursday Night Football? Like they were completely busting on the fact that it was great. It was fucking great.
They've had to be there for those. Like they had to sit in a booth and like act professional for fucking 3.5 hours. You know what I'm saying? Like those guys know it better than anybody. They're out there like, oh God, we're actually getting a good game. Fuck, this was a nightmare before. like we had to talk about Herb Street's grandma and shit because we had to make up time because nobody's fucking right. They're like, oh God, we don't want to get that personal. They were talking about Herb Street's grandma and fucking Al Michaels sniffing underwear and shit, whatever the fuck he does. that was dude from the NBA. LeBron James with Marv Alberts. LeBron James with no regard for human life. His calls are so ridiculously awesome, dude. He's one of my favorite play-by-play guys ever. Marv Alberts is my boy. But Marv Alberts was sniffing panties. He likes to sniff panties, girls' panties, which I think is awesome.
I mean, hey, whatever. As long, maybe he should just go to Japan because he can just get him out of a vending machine. He doesn't have to harass any woman for it.
I like to wear them on my head. I get it. I get it, Marv Alberts. You got. Hey, you're still a great announcer, buddy.
Picture on Facebook, literally.
No. What I like to do is I'll get like, because you know how the girls will get those really soft booty shorts that are just like they walk around the house in. I like to wear those because it's just that soft cradle on the balls. It just feels great, man.
It just keeps it from slapping on your. You know what I'm saying? Like that's all you got to do. Just a little bit of restraint. But hey, but don't tame the Velociraptor. You know what I'm saying? Like. No. Let the Velociraptor run in its own environment, but still maybe just a little bit of a leash. Of a leash. Right. I see what you're saying.
Just a harness. It's still going to get to run around the compound, but at least to have a harness, it's easier to walk it.
Can't get away from you. You know what I'm saying? Like don't let it get away from you. Can't let it get away from you. And my Facebook picture is actually, I was just reminded of this. My Facebook actual profile picture is of me wearing underwear on my head. And nobody really notices that I have a pair of underwear on my head, but I do.
Wait.
In that picture.
Wait. Hold on. I have to verify this.
Yeah, I have a pair of underwear. I'm like literally wearing it like a bandana underneath a hat. I believe they have.
Holy shit! I have never
raccoons
realized
on them
that before. Yes,
they have raccoons on. That's
okay. So
those are underwear.
I can attach.
Those are leashes. Those are leashes.
He's got a fedora on, but under that, between that and his bald head, he's got some women's britches on there.
Don't be jealous.
Absolutely, and you can clearly tell they are. And nobody, if it was in color, it'd be like, oh shit, those are underwear. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. Like it would be perfectly clear, but you've got it black and white, so nobody can tell.
They have raccoons on them. They have trash pandas on them, but
okay. Now other stuff that we wanted to talk about. Hold on, let me look back at this. Okay.
I would tell you, but I don't read any of Tony's text messages.
We'll roll through these really quick. Nathaniel Hackett is not being very well received in Broncos country.
Broncos Nation, let's ride.
Broncos country, let's ride.
Broncos country, let's ride.
Is Is it Nathaniel Hackett's fault that we're not seeing the play out of Russell Wilson that we expected? Or did the Broncos really get finessed by Pete Carroll? What do you think?
I just don't think that coach can hack it anymore. You know what I'm saying? I just don't think that he can hack it. Where are the crickets at, Will?
Oh, hold on.
I need crickets.
Adam Schefter just announced the Carolina Panthers are trading Christian McCaffrey to the 49ers in exchange for draft picks.
Wow. So that works nice. It's gonna be him and Raheem Mostert, right?
So
Mostert's still there.
Yeah, Raheem. That's a solid boost to their run game, and I think that this because Kansas City is getting ready to make a play for somebody. That's why they shifted that money around on Travis Kelce's contract. This makes me more think that they are going for OBJ.
Absolutely.
I think more now they're going for OBJ. I wouldn't be surprised if they were making room just in case they were getting it, like they were trying to get it, because Kansas City could use Christian McCaffrey, and it would be a better spot for him because Kansas City doesn't run the ball as much, so Christian McCaffrey doesn't have as much of an injury risk.
Exactly. And I mean, you have him out of the backfield too, but like Patrick Mahomes is he's a completely different animal, bro. He spreads around to everybody so much that you really don't like, he just does weird shit with like actual skill players. He needs a certain set of skill, doesn't need, but he is best with a certain set of skill players. And like, it's very unique, because I feel like Patrick Mahomes scrambles every single play. And at the same time, it's so under control. It's like under control scrambling. Like on Madden when you just run out and then bring the pass icons back up and then run out and bring it back. That kind of shit. He's like, it's perfect. It's actually it's for the game to like let the routes play out and everything. And obviously you can't follow a guy around for 3 seconds. Can't do it.
Right.
We had that backed up by Jason and Travis on their podcast. He was like, I can't follow somebody for a second and a half. He's like, there's no way I could even stay with him for a second and a half. He's like, you know how hard that job. He said that DBs talk, if whoever didn't see this, he said that DBs talk the most trash because their job is so ridiculous. He's like, and they just get their asses kicked all day. And he's like, and they just have to come to work happy. He's like, so they just talk a bunch of shit because they get really mad. And he's like, because it's the hardest job, like basically on defense in football. It is. I've always said it is.
We've talked about that because when you look at what they have to do, you're trying to like just like what Jason Kelce and Travis Kelce were saying. They have to play the numbers. On 3rd and 7, they're going to throw that hitch. All right, so I've got to cover that. And the next time it comes up to 3rd and 7, they're going to throw that hitch. Oh, they burn on the other side because they didn't go hitch. They went goalpost. So, and if you make that wrong calculation, the player's going to, get a bunch of yards after the catch. That's what happens. The good players do their homework, or the good players play to their athletic abilities. The great players do their homework
and play to their athletic ability simultaneously.
Yep.
Yeah. So like,
by the way, New Heights podcast with Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce, absolutely fantastic to watch. Great show. Seriously. They're really good guys and they know a lot about the game.
Oh, they do. Yeah. And they have good camaraderie too, obviously, because they're brothers, right? I mean, they're really brothers who it's hilarious. They're in different studios and everything. They're probably like, across the country, but it's fantastic. I don't even know what is Jason Kelce doing right now.
He's still playing. He's
still the center for the Eagles.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
okay. That's what I thought.
Eagles.
Yeah. Just stud has been for like, imagine how hard his fucking job is. Like Travis Kelce said, he said being a 260-pound center is probably, and he was literally making fun of his brother. I guess his brother's a 260-pound center who's just like hard at it. Like he gets his ass kicked. Right. But like DBs, I'll go as far as to say this about NFL DBs. I think as a group of athletes, they're the best athletes in the world. That's a statement that overall athlete. We're going for speed, strength, athleticism, size, reactions. You know what I'm saying? Like everything. Seeing it, NFL DBs, bro. And they get they just get their ass kicked all day. Basically because they can't catch a ball like a receiver can. That's the only reason why they're not receivers. They just can't catch it. That's almost the only difference. They have to follow these dudes around though, and I bet that's a fucking nightmare. Some of those guys are ridiculous. Like go guard Tyreek Hill. Somebody tell me how you defend Tyreek Hill.
That shell coverage,
dude. But then he's gonna sit down right in the middle of it. Like if you're just doing 7-on-7,
he's gonna cut you up on the slant. Yeah. If
the NFL turns into 7-on-7, Tyreek Hill is gonna be the greatest of all time, the GOAT of skill position players. There's not
Because you can't. Here's the thing: you can't just guard Tyreek Hill one-on-one because there is not, and I mean this was all with all respect to DBs, there is not a DB on the planet that is as fast as Tyreek Hill is at his peak. It's just it doesn't exist.
He's faster than you, and he knows where he's going, and you don't.
Yeah,
you're fucked. Like that, literally, the quarterback and him know where you're going, and you don't. Like you just have to react. Like their reactionary skills.
Well, it's like you look
class.
at that all famous wasp play that Kansas City ran in the Super Bowl run when they won in the run when they up to the Super Bowl when they had all those comebacks, and that famous line from Patrick, we have time to run wasp. So with that route, as Tyreek goes down, like he kind of like breaks one direction and then he kind of breaks back out and goes like he's kind of zigzagging around. If you don't know where he's going, where he's breaking, and all of that, you have no way of standing up to that, especially with his speed and how much of a burst that he has as he comes out of his break. How do you can't guard that as a DB? Eventually, if the defensive line and the linebackers are not getting to Patrick Mahomes, and he's got the time and the openness, he's going to eventually be able to wait until Tyreek gets open 60 yards down the field, and he's just going to cut you up.
Absolutely. It's the greatest singled out NFL play of all time, probably up there with, basically, yeah, because in the wasp route, he's running what they call a post corner is what he's running. So he's literally acting like he's going to go to the post, and then so you have to turn around and run one direction, and then he's going to take about 3 steps into the post, and he's going to wait for you to turn around, right? So you're going to be running the opposite direction, and then he's going to cut off and go the other direction. It's literally unstoppable, right? Mm-hmm. If you can give Patrick Mahomes time, it's unstoppable, and Patrick Mahomes makes the throw 99% of the time. So that's all. Like it's unstoppable.
That's the crazy thing about that is. In the challenge that DBC, and yes, we make a lot of jokes about like Dan Sorensen getting burnt, but the reason that we make jokes about guys like Dan Sorensen and Eli Apple is because it's not that they're making the wrong call; it's that they don't ever make the right call. So they're trying to rely on the athletic ability, which they're not going to be superior to a wide receiver's athletic ability. It's just not going to happen. Right. And they're not doing their homework to try and make better estimates about where the receiver that they're covering is going to go. And so that's why you see guys like Eli Apple and Dan Sorensen that just get burnt all the time. That's why J-Ram gets burnt all the time. I guarantee you, initially, Jalen Ramsey was about doing that homework and getting involved in understanding his opponent. But because of how much he got built up, he doesn't find that eagerness anymore. He believes it's him. It's not the homework.
I think it's actually the opposite with Jalen Ramsey. I've seen a lot of improvement out of Jalen Ramsey as obviously the dude plays with a lot of fucking emotion. Hey, guess what? You have to. All right. Mm-hmm. He is like, he's probably pissed off because he's getting his ass kicked almost every play. Like literally he loses a lot. Like they literally get beat all the fucking time because it's almost an impossible job. And the weird thing is, I basically said that like DBs are the greatest athletes on the planet as a group, compared only to these probably obviously superior the wide receivers that they're actually trying to cover, which is the fantastic part. Like the only people who are better than you basically athletically, just purely athletically, are the people you have to stop, which is what I'm saying. So like it's crazy.
That's why it's crazy. That's why when you see these guys that are DBs that, like, what was it? Micah Parsons had 11, or no, it was, who was it last year on the Cowboys that had like 11 picks?
I don't know who you're talking about. Was it you or Will that's not a fan? I think Will's maybe not a fan of them. Will's not a fan of the Cowboys.
Will's, I think it's Will because honestly, I don't care. It's the Cowboys. They don't matter.
Right. Yeah. But he's God damn it, what the fuck is his name? He's a corner. He's got a similar last name. There's other corners that have it. He's a DB. He's a cornerback.
But
this is where's Stacks at?
Yeah, we need Stacks.
Stacks.
No, because CeeDee Lamb is the receiver.
Yes. Hang on. Yeah, this is ridiculous. But anyway, 11 picks.
Like that's what's so amazing about that is because you're literally gaming that based on you trying to get better position on somebody who knows where they're going when you really don't. You're guessing.
Right. You're that good reactionarily. Like it's just all about reaction and the way that, and obviously technique is a huge part of it, which I didn't realize until I went and played in college. Honestly, like I used to like bat balls down, like go around the dude in front and like come around. You know what I'm saying? Like, why don't you just go from the backside? You know what I'm saying? You just reach from the running behind him, just reach out and, knock it down. You don't have to come all the way around. Like it's just technique stuff, like how you turn your hips and everything. Like when a guy runs an out, you got to turn your hips one way and then be able to turn them right back the other way, basically, because that post corner, like Tyreek Hill runs.
Well,
the hip movement is ridiculous.
When you get up to that level, those small things like how it's not just about planting your foot; it's about how you plant your foot, what part you plant. Well, what are your motions going into and out of planting your foot? They break everything down into such a technical spot because they want to shape your muscle memory. So that a lot of what you're doing that is athletic is just habit.
Absolutely.
That's their goal. That way, when you make it to the NFL, it's you're taking that habit one step further because it's just so damn hard to cover wide receivers.
I'm going to hit you with double Al Pacino quotes there because you said one at the end, or I don't think you realized that you said it. Because it was too damn hard. What he's talking about? And what is it? Son of a Woman.
Son of a Woman, yeah.
I knew which way the good route should be, but whatever. Because it was too damn hard. But we fight for that inch, gentlemen. We fight for that inch. It is a game of inches. Watch a fucking dude knock a ball down where it's just like the middle finger. Hits it. That's all it is, and it just knocks the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so small of margins, and like that's why they teach you those techniques is because you have to. Like your athleticism doesn't work anymore. Like it works, but only if you do correct things because you are playing at the highest level of the thing that
you were the most elite at your position in your high school. You were the most elite in college after weeding out all the people that were the most elite at their high school and their district and their state. And you're beating out all of these other individuals just to make it to the NFL. So they have to take it that one step further and even get it down to, a game of inches, millimeters. Because if that one finger is like this instead of like this, you may not block that pass. If your hand is here instead of here, you may not block that pass. Or do you need to go with this quarterback? Do you need to have it more like this? And they get so they get so finite with the details of how they want you to cover that specific person, that specific quarterback, that whatever position, because it's a game of small wins and details that makes a difference because everybody is that damn elite.
Milliseconds that make things a little bit. You always see that like slow motion play where it's like, oh, did the DB get there too early? Is it pass interference? And it's just the slightest of like little bit in somebody's back, and the ball's literally touching their hands, and that'll knock it out. It's like that. That's milliseconds of reactionary time, and so you have to because like we said, they know where they're going, and you just have to just try and figure it out. Like it's craziness, and they still win sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes they're able to accomplish that, which is crazy. I see Will's post on Facebook. Okay, Saints, why is Dalton still in the game? 2 picks for scores. It's going good New Orleans.
New Orleans put themselves in this position. As much as I feel bad for the fan base, I don't feel bad for the team. Because realistically, they could have traded for PJ Walker or Taylor Heineke and had better results at quarterback than what they're dealing with right now.
The Red Rider
and you can't tell me that either one of those guys wouldn't be attainable with a small amount of sacrifice. Maybe, a late pick. You mean to tell me that if you called the Washington Commanders and said, hey, here's a 5th round pick, give me Taylor Heineke, they're not going to go, okay.
I don't think that they do, though. I mean,
it depends on who it is. Adequate compensation. I mean, obviously, because I'm not a GM, I don't fucking know what the compensation is, but I would have to think that the cost on somebody like PJ Walker or Taylor Heineke is low enough that it makes it worth it because they're paying Andy Dalton, $15 million?
Bro, Taylor Heineke is not better than Andy Dalton.
As overall, no, Taylor Heineke is not better than Andy Dalton, but I think it's more skill set and the type of quarterback that they are it's a better. I feel like both of those guys would have a chance at a better fit because those guys, and part of it is that Andy Dalton, no matter where he goes, he's trying to save his career. That's just what he's doing now because of everything he's had to go through. He's just fighting. And so his approach and the way that he sees it, Taylor Heineke and PJ Walker, like they weren't even sure they were going to make it to being backups on the teams that they're on. And so when you say, hey, we're going to bring you in here and we want to do this and we want to shape this using your skill set with these receivers, you can't tell me that they both wouldn't be more comfortable in that position because everything that Saints organization is going through, it's a difficult spot for everybody on that team right now. And I think that the perspective that Heineke or PJ Walker would have would be different than Andy Dalton's I have to do this now or die trying. Because that latter mentality. You're saying it's creating a little bit of desperation in Andy Dalton is what you're saying. Absolutely. Absolutely. This is a desperation situation for Andy Dalton that it would not be for Taylor Heineke or PJ Walker.
Is it?
And I think that makes a difference. Yeah.
Because Dalton's Dalton's got his fucking money. Like you said, $15 million. Like
it's not about the money, it's about the legacy.
Andy Dalton knows he's not going to have any legacy, bro. He's been he played for the Bengals for like 14 years, right? Seriously, I was like,
no,
10.
But that's the thing. He's still, you can tell by the way that he looks and the way that he approaches everything that he hasn't given up the hope of the Super Bowl ring and gaining some kind of, even if it's just a little bit of positive notoriety, because his career is forever tainted because of his 14 years with the Bengals.
I see what you're saying. That's what you're saying. Like you think he is as a person, basically, is like kind of the guy who needs to take that into account. Like that's something
you can.
I see what you're saying.
And again, I mean this with all due respect to Andy Dalton because he's an elite athlete, especially compared to me. But like when I was looking at him tonight, like in his eyes, like you could see, like I saw more desperation than fight in his eyes.
And you're saying that's a negative thing. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. So over fight, basically. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, because desperate. And here's the thing: when you think about it like this, somebody that's dedicated to hunting and getting food, okay, they're going to be focused. They're like, look, this is my goal. Somebody that's desperate for food is going to take it one step farther. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to just kick in the door of a place that they think has food, not thinking about the consequences and that they might get shot. Whereas that person that's just focused on getting that food and hunting, they're going to take their time. They understand. They're going to have to wait for that deer to come by. They're not going to be running through the woods going, food. Desperation creates mistakes. And I think that's the true downside to Andy Dalton in this. If Andy Dalton didn't, I think if I didn't see the desperation in Andy Dalton's approach, I feel like it would be different. And I feel like maybe the decision-making would be better, but desperation clouds decision-making. Absolutely.
And I can't stop looking at Andy Dalton's hair whenever I see him in interviews, so I haven't actually heard anything that he said. It is shocking. It looks like if you took the Rugrats hair, that Chucky character, and just made it a real thing. Like made it. It was a real live action Chucky from Rugrats hair thing. But no.
I think it's cool. Nancy Cartwright, who does the voice of Bart Simpson on The Simpsons, is the same. She took over doing Chucky Finster in 2001 because his original voice actress retired. But Nancy Cartwright has actually been doing it since 2001. I didn't know that either until about a year ago. But I think I think it's really cool.
She also shows up randomly at studios, like for podcasts and radio shows and stuff, and just acts like Bart Simpson the entire time. Talks like him. Stays in character, so she's over the radio, so it sounds like Bart Simpson's in the studio. It's fantastic, dude. It's awesome to see it.
I follow her. And like she puts out reels where she'll like answer questions and stuff like that. And she's told stories where she'll go into like toy stores. She's told a story before. I've heard her tell a story where she went into a Toys R Us back when that was still a thing, and somebody had picked up a Bart Simpson doll, and they didn't realize she was standing there, and she started doing the voice, and they thought it was the doll talking.
Oh my god!
And they were like tripping out. And then they saw that it was coming from her, and they're just like, "What's going on right now?" Tripping out. She seems like a legit great person, honestly.
I'd be the dude in the video that just screams, like throws the Bart Simpson up in the air and just like runs out of the. It's like, okay, somebody track him down. We were just joking. Oh God, what is happening? What is happening? What panic! Everybody panic!
Okay.
Everybody panic.
We talked about Hackett and can't hack it anymore. Aaron Rodgers, couple of issues here. Aaron Rodgers criticizing Matt LaFleur's offense, and then also a lot of Packers fans calling for him to be traded. Do you think that really Aaron Rodgers' marriage with the Green Bay fan base is headed for that split skis?
Oh, it's dead already. It's
dead
already. Oh yeah. They're not in good shape. Obviously Green Bay is a Midwestern town, bro. And it is owned by the people who live there. It's not a very big city. It's the smallest city, I think, of any professional sport in the United States. It's up there, right? I don't think there's a smaller one population-wise than Green Bay, Wisconsin, okay? So they're Midwestern mindset, and they got California boy, went to Cal, just walking up in there talking about how his fucking 1,000 ancestors had their arms around him, were accepting him, were gracious, and welcomed him into the tree of love. With his slicked back fucking mohawk weird ass side part thing he's got going on now, which the fuck ever that is, dude. Like his DMT I think Aaron Rodgers good.
I think he's prepping for a remake of Con Air. It's the only thing that makes sense at this point.
That motherfucker's heart rate doesn't ever go over 55. Like even when he's playing in the game, like it stays at like really slow. Like he's always. You ever notice that he's never sweating? Like there's not like he's like never like looks like he's out of breath or anything because he's just out there fucking just enjoying the breeze, throwing the footballs. It literally probably flowers. There's probably like flowers and shit on the field for him. Like he can just like pick up a flower and go back and like, dude, I don't think you understand. Like he doesn't care. He doesn't care about football anymore, guys.
I don't think he does.
As a person, his mind was opened, and he just particularly has never been the guy who loved football. He just happened to be very, very, very fucking good at it, and he made a lot of money doing it, and it's just kind of his profession now. He doesn't really enjoy football anymore. Like, if you guys didn't know that, he fucking tried to leave and fucking host Jeopardy, bro. Like, he does not like playing football anymore. He doesn't want to get CTE. You know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't want to take too many shots to the head. He doesn't want to get injured so he can't walk when he's 60 because he has a lot of plans for after football, dude. That's what's going on right now. Like, he doesn't care
try
that
to
much.
get me like Patrick back.
Green Bay, he doesn't care about you anymore. His girlfriend's name is Earth Flower or something like that. Not a joke. Her name is literally like something Earth. Like it's very, very hippie-ish, and it's awesome. Like, he is in a whole different level than you guys. Like
Blue Earth?
It's like Blue Earth. There it is. Yeah, I think it's Blue Earth. That's her name. You know,
I think that sounds right. You know, and
she's a shaman.
Yeah, and the thing for me is
awesome.
You know, and great for her, you know, him and his spirituality. If he thinks that's what's making him feel better and happier as a person, I support
real quick,
that.
Johnny, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like just with the fan base is what you asked. You know what I'm saying? Like, so just with the fan base, you have to understand, like, these people are not on the same, like, you know, they just don't see eye to eye.
Completely different
commonly,
cultures, basically.
Absolutely. And he's rich, right? So now you have a little bit of like a resentment because all this rich California boys up there. I totally understand it, guys. I live in Nebraska. Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay. Just, that's all I'm going to say. Like same kind of area. Okay. They're not bad people. They just don't see eye to eye with you sometimes. Okay. And Rodgers is up there. He's just like fucking around. Like doesn't, you know, he's not the epitome of what they see. He doesn't like football anymore, which is all they think about. And if you're not the same amount of committed as a fan is for real to the team that you play for, they resent that. And I totally get it. And I totally get it from both sides. And it's just weird. It's over though.
It's over. You know, and that's the counter to that though, is it's like for these guys, like, yeah, football is their life. It's what they put their life into, but ultimately for them, it's just a job. And
most of them,
you know, for most of them, like, you know, they put everything into their job that they can because they do want to be the best at it, but it's just their job at the end of the day.
The GOATs are different because the GOATs start to think about what level can I be on in the history of this game? You know what I'm saying? It's like, we don't see this from Brady and stuff like that because they're talking about a whole different, you know, and I think Aaron Rodgers will go down as one of the greatest of all time, but he knows in his mind, obviously, that he ain't going to be no one is ever going to consider Aaron Rodgers the actual GOAT. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll say he's probably the most arm talented. He has if I get to pick an arm for like a fantasy, quarterback, you put one together, you got all the parts. I got Aaron Rodgers as my throwing arm for real. Cause it's ridiculous. It's the most ridiculous arm I think it's ever been. Just how where angles and like accuracy, he is Mahomes before Mahomes, and really nobody saw it. Obviously this has been going on for.
And Mahomes is on pace to just completely surpass him. So there's, even if he's considered the second best quarterback ever right now, if you want to try and make that argument, because it is impossible to put anybody above Tom Brady. So let's just take that for what it is and move past that. If you want to put Aaron Rodgers at number 2 right now, technically there's an argument for that. I can respect that. I think that ultimately Pat is going to surpass him. It's only a matter of time. But there is not a there. I don't think there's ever a way that he could ever surpass Tom Brady. It's impossible.
No,
Mahomes can,
absolutely not.
But Aaron Rodgers, not a chance.
And let's clarify, only by resume is Brady the GOAT. Only by resume. And this is where I get a lot of weird stuff from the LeBron. I said it every show. The LeBron Jordan thing is that Jordan, accomplishment-wise, I see where the obvious thing is at, right? The 6-0, I get that. Accomplishments, the scoring titles, the fucking defensive player of the year, all that shit, I get it. But if you get to pick one fucking player to start a franchise, they're in their fucking prime, you get them for that year to win a title. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, or to win games in general. I'm not even going to say a title, just games in general for a whole career. You're going to take a lot of guys over Tom Brady. For one, I'll take Josh Allen over Tom Brady right now. If Tom Brady doesn't have the situation or anything, no. I mean, in their prime. I'm taking Josh Allen over Tom Brady if I get to start a franchise with a quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not about accomplishments at that point. It's about the raw player that you're talking about. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, you're talking about the actual player and how good he is within the sport. That's it. Not accomplishments or anything. That's why I call LeBron the GOAT, and that's why I don't call Brady the GOAT, really. I mean, I do. He is obviously the GOAT, but like, Mahomes is clearly just like, as a player, I would definitely pick Mahomes over fucking Tom Brady. If you take out all the accomplishments and him walking into fucking an already Super Bowl team and getting to slide in perfectly behind, I'm talking about Brady, slide in perfectly behind a convenient injury and then have the perfect situation, exactly like Mahomes has, but I'm still taking Patrick Mahomes just talent-wise, is what I'm trying to say.
Right. That makes sense.
So, as a player, that's why I take LeBron too.
No,
in the NBA argument. And nobody ever gets it. They're like, "Oh, he went 6-0." Like, I get it, guys. I know that he was perfectly fantastic and
but when you look at, like, considering somebody the greatest player of all time, let's talk about that for a minute, because I think that's an interesting topic, because it is difficult, even with elite talent, to win a championship as a professional sports team in any sport. So I'm not just saying in basketball or just in baseball or just in the NFL. In professional sports in general, it is super fucking hard, even with the best roster in history.
Right.
The Dodgers this year had the most wins, tied for like 5th, 6th, 7th, somewhere in there, for most wins in an MLB season ever. One of the best lineups in MLB history.
According to 7, the best 1 through 3 that's ever. And you know what? There's not a whole lot of. I researched it pretty. There's not a whole lot of argument. I'm actually agreeing with you, kind of. I'm going to agree with you, kind of.
When you look at, because we'll use with that logic real quick before we dive into the other part again. The same thing that you just said about, if we take away resumes, we look at pure skill, 1 through 3, I would take Betts, Freeman, and Turner over the 1 through 3 from the 1927 Yankees.
Against the competition that they played against, no. Against now, yes. Right? Like, so if you're just going to go like, That's the biggest.
I would take Mookie. I would take Betts, Freeman, and Turner against the competition that Ruth and them played against in 1927. They would rake.
Absolutely, dude. Freddie Freeman would hit 714 for an entire year. Dude, Freddie Freeman would hit 60 dingers before the All-Star break, probably.
Before the All-Star break.
No, not before the All-Star break, but like he would have consistently 50 home runs.
I mean,
probably hit. Realistically, probably hit 440. Not a joke. Like hit 440 to 500. Honestly,
well, it's
break
the numbers that I could imagine him hitting. Like I interviewed recently the author of this book, Dead Ball Trailblazers, Ronald T. Waldo, and the first chapter is about a guy. He had the first American League Triple Crown, and he did it the first year that the American League was a professional league. It wasn't a minor league. His name was Nap Lajoie. And going into June, he was hitting over 500 and started playing at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
There was an entire month stretch where he hit over 600. Like that's the kind of numbers that Freddie Freeman is putting up and Mookie Betts are putting up if they play against that 1927 talent. But I do get what you're saying though about because it was Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, and DiMaggio. Wasn't DiMaggio?
Of course, you're gonna ask me his name. No. DiMaggio was in the 50s. It was Gehrig, Ruth, and
Gehrig was the other one.
Yeah, it was Gehrig, Ruth, and God damn it! Of course, I can't remember his name now. But weird. You know what I'm talking about.
But like, and I get what you're saying. When we look at the GOAT argument, there is not outside of like tennis and golf, there is not a professional sport where you're only relying on one person to get a championship.
Earl Combs.
Okay.
Earl Combs. Sorry, Earl Combs during the 1927 season. I already sent this to the fucking whole sports program. Hit 356. Had 231 hits.
But back in that point, because they were going for contact over home runs, it wasn't uncommon for multiple guys to be hitting north of 350. Like Nap Lajoie, when he won that that Triple Crown title the first year the American League was a professional league in 1901, he hit 426.
Tony, I just spelled Nap Lajoie's name correctly. I'm shocked. I just spelled it correctly in the Google search. I was like, is it because you know what it's like? It's like
the French spelling.
John Lajoie is what I always call him, but I don't think it's actually Lajoie.
John Lajoie.
Exactly like this guy's name, isn't it? Okay, it's spelled the same way. That's what I thought.
And like I had that. Ronald had to teach me how to say his name because I was saying it wrong. I was calling Nap. I was saying Nap Lajoie and and so because of
Lajoie, yeah. How do you actually say it now? Because now I'm getting confused. Is it
Lajoie?
Lajoie. Lajoie. Okay.
Yeah, Lajoie.
Yeah. I'm looking up his numbers right now.
Like it's
career 380 on base percentage.
What, seriously?
338 career batting average. Had 3,000 hits. 338 career.
1901. If you look at his numbers, he won the American League Triple Crown. It was I think it was originally 1901. Oh. It was originally I think it was originally listed at like 422, but it was ended up being the official number is actually 426.
Hit 426, had an OPS over 1100. Had 125 rubies, 232 hits. That's a fucking season now. God damn.
Like stupid, in what we would consider in modern day video game numbers.
Absolutely.
That's the first person to win the Triple Crown in the American League.
Only 131 games too.
But when you talk about the greatest hitters in Major League Baseball, how many people are gonna stand their ground and say Nap Lajoie that played for the Pittsburgh Pirates?
No, nobody.
Or the Philadelphia Athletics. That may have been who he played for because I think it was the Philadelphia Athletics. Nap Lajoie, that played for the Philadelphia Athletics, was the best hitter in baseball history. No.
Are you saying people are going to say? I think people do say that because they're separating it.
If you know about baseball, Nap should certainly be one of the top 10 hitters. But it was believed that he actually that season was actually the best batting average season in baseball history until they added the minor league, the Negro League numbers in.
Right,
and they found out it was somebody else. But
really. Oh yeah, the Negro League numbers are ridiculous too. Like those guys are playing the exact. If they were playing the exact same competition, dude, you were just making them play other black guys. You know what I'm saying? Like they were playing the same level. You know, like it's just black dudes, same thing. But and it just obviously wasn't as recognized. But no, any of these guys now would fucking like. That's the weirdest part about this conversation that I always get into is like, do you do it against their competition? Because in that case, Michael Jordan is not the GOAT of the NBA. Wilt Chamberlain is the fucking GOAT of the NBA. Wilt Chamberlain's the GOAT, dude. And the 6 titles, I guess, but like I think Wilt Chamberlain only won 2. But like he averaged 50 points for an entire year. Averaged 50. That's a big deal for somebody to go 50.
Well, I mean, look at Bill Russell's numbers in his history with the Celtics, and everything that he did. You know, you want to start talking about Michael Jordan being 6-0. Bill Russell has 11,
and he's like career 28 and 12 for like 20 straight years.
Consistent 1 or 2 numbers that you would love to see. You know how many teams? You know, Charlotte Hornets had a guy that was putting up Bill Russell numbers. You know how many backflips Michael Jordan would be doing right now?
Joel Embiid won the MVP last year and didn't win the MVP. Sorry, should have. Jokic, but he should have won the MVP. He averaged 28 and 12. 30. It was 30 and 12.
It was like 30 Russell, and 12, 30 and 13, somewhere like that. It was Russell-esque numbers.
Did it every year for like 14 straight seasons. They were also playing guys who had like plumbing day jobs and were just so worn out from their job at the fucking rock mine that they didn't want to play power forward that night. Imagine that. But like that was a lot of it, and that's why Chamberlain played against the same guys.
Yeah.
6'5", good high school player, white dudes, probably, mostly.
I mean, you could honestly make the argument still. I mean, the argument for Kareem is still there if you really want to talk about resumes, because Kareem just made buckets and he didn't have. Well, Kareem made what, 1-3 in his entire career?
Right. He was just the quintessential post player, the quintessential in and out from the post. Like that's how they used to run the game. He was the quintessential. He was the perfect piece for that era. Like obviously he was perfectly constructed for that era. That's clearly what, and he just was so consistent, so good. And obviously he's 7'2". He's a big dude, but his competition was catching up to him at least. You know what I'm saying? So like with a lot of the sports when they're younger, you always notice with Nap Lajoie and fucking Wilt Chamberlain, the younger stages of the sport, there's not as much talent. So you get guys who are levels above. Like Chamberlain could have played in the 90s and been a really good center. Could play today and probably be I think he would be. This is going to fucking offend some people. It's going to fucking. I think he would come off the bench in the NBA today. Honestly, Wilt Chamberlain would probably come off the bench, like late bench, maybe not play, maybe be in the DL. Like not a joke. He wasn't that skilled. He was just 7 foot, crazy athletic.
Here's tall but not skilled is what gets you what happened to Ben Simmons last night against Zion. Zion outskilled. Well, and I get Zion's size is a big advantage, but there was the skill that Zion has coupled with his size. Ben Simmons couldn't do a fucking thing. That's why he only had 4 points and 2 rebounds.
Ben Simmons is taller than Zion, but he was bouncing off that tank. Like Zion Williamson is a brick shit house. Like he is the definition.
That dumper out and pushing Ben Simmons back into the other side of the paint with you know.
That animal weighs 300 pounds, bro. He is the size of Glenn Davis, who played straight power forward in the NBA. He is the size of Glenn Big Baby Davis. And he has a 45-inch vertical. He has a 45-inch vertical.
Yeah.
Like he weighs 300 pounds. He's listed at 6'8", 300 pounds.
He said like 340. Shannon said from what he's seen from him, he looks like he's about 340.
About 340 pounds. When he's overweight eating that fucking gumbo down there in New Orleans, he goes in the offseason and it's just chili dogs, bro. Like Ezekiel Elliott style. But he's still so young, it doesn't matter. Like he can just like go out, that's going to be a problem.
He's got about 3 more years of that, and then it's going to start to be a problem.
He's probably got 6 because he's a professional. Like, oh yeah, because he's a professional athlete, dude. He gets a fucking like he's in shape. Let's not.
Well, because a lot of these guys, he's in shape, but a lot of these guys have started to say like not just NBA players, but NFL players and hockey players even say like once you get to like 28, 29, like it starts to catch up with you even at that point.
Quick
decline. So he's
only 21. He's only 21.
Is he only 21? Okay. All right. I stand corrected. No, I thought he was like 24.
Yeah, he graduated Duke at 19, so he was in the NBA when he was 19. Yeah, he was 19, and then he's gone 2 years. I think he might be 22, maybe 21, 22. But still, he's very young. He can do that. He can be an idiot and eat fucking.
Stack should be in the comments right now telling us this information, and he's really slacking on his job tonight. I don't appreciate it.
Stacks is a good man. He's a good man, and you know what? He might be just back there watching a movie or something. He's just not doing stats at all. That's fine, Stacks. You're fine.
And so
we don't yell.
Speaking of Stacks, before we dive into our last topic, speaking of Stacks, when is your guys' basketball show starting? You guys start next week?
Next Wednesday, yeah. Next Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central for all the Midwest homies. It's a lot of people from Iowa.
Warner, you know what I'm saying? Dan and Dick Warner getting his first show. Him and Haystacks Calhoun going to be breaking down all of the latest basketball topics.
It's called The Hardwood with Dick.
The Hardwood with Dick and Stacks.
The Hardwood with Dick and Stacks. And you're going to get more Dick and more Stacks on Wednesday. You get more Dick.
Wait, did he?
More Stacks.
Hold on. I wonder if he uploaded that yet. Because I think I can. Hold on.
That's my favorite part about Josie did a great job. Shout out. But that's my favorite part is where it just says more Dick ... more Stacks ... I'm like, fantastic. This is gonna work. This is gonna be a good show.
I think it is.
It's a promising start. He mixed a little bit of that rock music in there. He sent me that message today, and he just said, she just said, you hate this, don't you? And I was like, no, not at all. I was like, I actually like it a lot.
I think Haystacks actually has that.
The EDM music. He was playing EDM in it originally.
I honestly, the only one that I've heard with sound is the one that Stacks shared. Hold on.
I don't know if I was so into that fucking Yankees game, man. I almost missed the show tonight, guys.
I'm not surprised. Hold on here. I'm going to share my screen because I've got it. We'll run it before we wrap up. And let's see, Facebook. Okay. It's time. It's time for more. More Dick. More Stacks.
Still got the
more Hardwood. Sports Report presents The Hardwood with Haystacks Calhoun and Dan the Dick Warner. Getting ready to start next Wednesday. So definitely check that out and support that. All right, so as we wrap up tonight.
That's called live voiceovers, guys. Just you're welcome. You're welcome for the live sneak peeks.
I normally charge for extra for that.
We're all about pleasing the fans.
Okay. So as we wrap up tonight,
all 6 of them.
Deshaun Watson managed to get a 25th lawsuit.
There's one.
This guy's racking up lawsuits like Russell Westbrook is racking up turnovers.
Bro, Deshaun Watson just fucking exhausts me. I don't even know if I can mentally talk about Deshaun Watson at this point because I'm just like, I just gave up on it. I was like, oh God.
So many fucking times. So many times these incidents have happened. He was enabled. These individuals were put into harm's way. And he is already back in the team facilities. And he's got another few weeks, and he's back under center with the Cleveland Browns.
For the general population that most of, let's be honest, hate Deshaun Watson at this point, how much of it do you think is about that exact fact right there that he literally just gets to walk? Dude, that guy, if he wanted to, and I'm not saying that Deshaun Watson's this big of a monster, but like he could just be laughing at all. Like, oh, I still got 260. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he still just got away with it. Like, not even got away with it. Fucking rich as a motherfucker, still in a successful job, right? How much of you do you think that is about like just the general anger? Like, honestly, the acts were fucking gonna create general anger. But like on top of it, it's almost like he's just like rubbing salt in the wound. Like $261 million just in Cleveland, just not a fucking care in the world. Like that's got to add to it, right?
Zero. And honestly, I think that's a bigger piece of it, because if he didn't matter and he wasn't in the public eye, it wouldn't be, it would still matter that he was harassing massage therapists. So let's be clear on that. But if he wasn't somebody that's in the public eye, like we wouldn't be having this much conversation about somebody who is clearly a fucking predator.
It's not like we start the show or end the show with like, yeah, Nate from Wisconsin is a doctor who is like sexually assaulted. Like it's not, there's probably 30 of these cases exactly like this happening right now. That's the sad part. That really is the sad part. And it's also the part that like, we don't talk about that shit. That's it. But like, it does make it worse, the public eye thing. And just like, everybody feels like this motherfucker just got away with it, dude. Like, what is he even going to get?
The release about the 25th lawsuit came out end of last week, beginning of this week. The NFL has not said a goddamn thing. But with the suspension that he's sitting on, they can add time. This gives them permission to add time.
Absolutely. And they should.
And absolutely they should. But,
and they're not going to, are they?
But I mean, obviously they've got time before they have to respond because he doesn't come back until week 13. But
we've already talked about the vessel of morality that the NFL owners are.
Right.
The absolute vessel of morality.
But you got to draw the line at some point. And I hope that the NFL does something, and they have to do more with this. They have to take advantage of this opportunity and really hit them where it counts.
And on the opposite side of it, like we've talked about before, just on a final note, in any other job, like we talked about earlier, any other normal job, if you're an accountant, unless you're doing that stuff and you don't get criminally charged and you're not doing that stuff in the office, do you lose your job?
No.
If you're not,
but here's the thing.
So
he is an athlete. He is a professional athlete. But guess what? When you look at the category of professional athlete is an entertainer. That puts him in the public eye, and he gets held at that point to the same standards as public officials because they are in the public eye. And so there is going to be that constant reminder. Ben Roethlisberger is a rapist.
It's because you're influenced.
It's a constant reminder. If a guy that lives 3 blocks down from me is a rapist and I don't know about it, and he doesn't lose his job, that literally has no impact on my daily life. But because of the general size and viewership on professional sports, specifically, most importantly, the NFL, the NBA, and Major League Baseball, it's influenced. The rules are different because there is perceived power as an entertainer in the public eye.
Absolutely. And just like how many like people you influence, dude, like you can make people think like, you know what I'm saying? Like you can make a lot of, especially young people, mimic your actions at that point. They have a responsibility. And
plus there are so many people that think that professional athletes actually do have power. You know, there's this perception that perception of power that we've talked about with how Deshaun Watson actually influenced his victims that comes into play here as well. Because any professional entertainer, athlete, performer of any kind, there is a perception of power with those individuals. You don't look at Taylor Swift, even if you don't like her music, and think, oh, she ain't got nothing. No, you look at her like, oh, I don't like her music, but she's still got power. Beyonce didn't have power over shit. She just got a lot of money.
But money creates power, though.
Exactly.
Tony, money, exactly. So, like, with the money and the fame, with the money and fame. And I think fame creates a lot of power. Well, fame creates money. Fame creates money. Money creates power. But yeah. So, and does it not? That's the weird part. Is it actually does. It curries influence. It curries influence in it, and it runs the world.
You know, when you're at that level, your name has a certain value to it. Whether you're a good guy or a bad guy. Louis C.K. So many people, you know, he was one of those that was a casualty of the Me Too era, if you will. Yeah. Louis C.K.'s name still is worth money. He's still today.
One of the biggest headliners in the world.
He's one of the biggest headliners in the world. People actively go to his shows.
I would.
There is a, you know, and when he was allegedly doing what he was doing, you know, and honestly, when you look at the allegations on Louis C.K., you know, most of it's creepy, but most of it's not bad. He was just asking women if they wanted to masturbate and screaming consent on them. That's bad, but that's not as dramatic. Where he actually tipped over the line, because most of the time when they said no, he stopped. Sarah Silverman, she herself has talked about the fact that he had asked her. She was like, yeah, sometimes she said no. And when she said no, he respected it. But there is also part of the allegations with Louis C.K. were when it was found out that there were girls that said no, that his manager tried to pressure into doing it and saying he would get them blackballed in the comedy industry if they didn't. And that's where the biggest piece of that problem arose, is because he was flexing that power. If he had just been like, hey, you want to watch me whack off? And they were like, no, and then they left and that was it, nobody would care.
Tony, though,
I would just think he was weird.
That's what I'm saying, like just a creepy weirdo, like, which isn't, you know, I don't think that's criminal, because obviously there's people.
I think there's a difference between criminal and creepy. And obviously the line was crossed, but without that line, that part getting crossed, flexing the perceived sense of power, he's just creepy.
Honestly, I would be doubtful that Louis C.K. knew anything about those comments being made or that pressure being added.
And I'm sure that's why he's allowed back in the industry, because most promoters wouldn't book him if that was actually the case and he was involved in that. I mean, because don't get me wrong, promoters are shit people. If you've ever met any kind of a music or comedy promoter, most of them are shit people. I'm going to tell you that
they wear their soul on their face.
Because in honestly, to be in that industry, you kind of to be that promoter for those major shows like that for comedy or for national touring acts, you kind of have to be a piece of shit savage. That's just the way that it is. It takes that personality to be effective at your job. But and also to an extent with managers of musicians and comedians,
keeping them happy.
Because you've got to be able to keep your client happy. So, you know, but promoters, if as long as certain lines aren't crossed, you can still get booked if you really want to do a show and they think people will come. Because look at the difference. If it was announced that Louis C.K. was doing an arena show again, he would sell tickets. But Carlos Mencia, who crossed that proverbial line with stealing material and it getting publicly outed in detail explained he wasn't doing his own material, he gets booked for corporate shows sometimes. Because he's still, for those of you that don't know, Carlos Mencia still does comedy and still steals jokes. He's still doing it.
Absolutely.
It didn't end just because he got outed by Joe Rogan. But the difference is now he can't get booked at reputable clubs and on reputable gigs, reputable sets, stuff like that. You're not going to see him on a Comedy Central roast.
He'll be in like a doctor's conference in St. Louis. They'll be like, Carlos Mencia, the formerly famous Carlos Mencia. And he just goes out there and does a bunch of Hispanic jokes for like that he stole from fucking R.A. Shafir for like
and George Lopez.
And Lopez
George Lopez jokes.
That was what really got me about it, was that he was trying to like weasel his way into this demographic and like just doing it at such a for the fame and money level that like he's just like that's when people get pissed off about it.
He even said that it was literally just because he wanted the fame. Like he does not feel bad about stealing jokes. He has never once said he felt bad about it.
And that's where the line is crossed. Exactly. Yep. I think that's where the line crosses between like being just somebody who, you know, does some fucked up shit, but is still not crossing this weird line that we're talking about, right? Especially with Mincy and stealing jokes thing is obviously like, that's just because it makes you think that like, that's all they want out of this is money and fame. That's not a good thing, because if you value those things over certain, core values, that's not a good start to, like, could you like this person? Do you think this is a good person in general? Right. I mean, it's not, because that stuff, obviously there's more important things than money, but money just kind of runs stuff.
Right.
But if it runs it for you, if like that's all you're going for, it just I think it creates questions in people's minds. That makes sense. About them just being S core people. Like, I don't think Carlos Mencia is a good person, if just in general. I just don't, because of the things that I clearly know that he's done. And it's like, decisions, I guess.
But when you look at the other side of things with Louis C.K., with the way that Louis C.K. has approached the situation, the way that he's handled things afterwards, you don't have to worry about Louis C.K. You can go watch his jokes. He's not going to try any bullshit. He's super fucking embarrassed that his fetish, his kink was outed anyway.
Right.
So he just wants to go back to telling jokes. And
yes,
you also have to remember that when you look at the position that he was in, like, he was so much on the rise that there was a trajectory at one point before all hell broke loose where he was on a path to be up there with Chappelle. I'd say he had gotten there, but he was on that kind of path to be the next George Carlin, because Chappelle, obviously, you could say, is the next Pryor. He's taken it to another level. He's on his own thing. It's Dave Chappelle, but there was a path at one point for Louis C.K. to be the next Carlin.
GOAT status path.
Yeah,
I would say that he was clearly on GOAT status path. I still kind of do. Like, I think he's one of the greatest. I think he's one of the top probably 4 or 5 of all time, even right now. Clearly, I think he's hands down one of the top.
When you take away all the bad, when you take away all, those problems, and you look at it from just a pure comedic talent point of view, he's definitely top 5.
Just joke writing, and like the way, like, he's really, really good at delivering. I think it's underestimated how like good he is at fucking actually the craft. Like, he's super good at the craft.
Louis C.K. and Jeselnik are 2 of my favorite comics. When I'm talking to a comic that's or somebody that's curious, like they want to learn more because they want to think about doing it, I tell people to watch Jeselnik if they're a one-liner comic or a punch comic,
right?
Or if they're a storyteller, Louis C.K. Go back and watch Louis C.K. stuff if you're a storyteller comic, and you will see the value of delivery and that comedic thing where you have your story that's really good, but certain things you just take it a little step farther. Oops. You take it a little step farther. Louis C.K. made that an art form.
Yes, and like maintaining this, like, it's almost like a what was I trying to say? He's an endearing, like kind of underdog type of.
He's an endearing weirdo.
Yes, like you're like, oh, he's weird, and like, you just want to, like, because that's just how he's presenting that the whole time underneath it, which makes it just even like people like him. He makes himself likable in a weird way, and he's doing that all, like, it's all intentional. Some of the stuff he doesn't know he's doing, but like he figures it out eventually. He's like, oh yeah, that place, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's how crazy, like, good these guys are. Like, it's not just people going up there talking. If you ever try to do stand up, it's definitely not just going up there talking.
No,
trust me on that. I tried, guys. It just went absolutely god awful horrible. Just terrible. I've failed
many times. Yeah.
Bombing.
There's nothing like bombing in front of your idol.
I was so bad they called me the B-52. Just fucking bombing every time I went on the fucking stage, Tony. See? And then you just run.
There's that thing that I having, as somebody who's done stand up with Dan Werner, I can tell you that you didn't want to follow him, not because he was so good, but because the crowd left when he got on stage.
Well, they would stay just to watch. It was like a car wreck. They're like, what is like, some of them were just like embarrassed, like halfway getting out of the room. They'd go to the front room and get a drink, like, I need a drink. Like, just got to get out of here.
And then about halfway through the set, when you get to your 3rd dead baby joke, just after your 2nd rape joke, you're like, maybe it's time to go.
What was that one I sent you about eating chicks? I was talking about just eating people.
I can't remember.
Yeah, it's something about eating people. I'm like, dude, I literally thought that was going to be like my niche. Like, I was just going to go up there and say like the most fucked up weird shit and like make it awkward that it was funny, right? That was my whole goal, which is a terrible goal. It's just a terrible way to go about it.
It's so hard to do it because, like, even with what, like, if you think about, like, some of the horrible and fucked up things, like what Tosh and Jeselnik do, like, there is a certain piece where you kind of have to, they still had to work into being able to get that fucked up. Daniel Tosh is not always that fucked up of a comic. If you look at Jeselnik, his early stuff, he's fucked up, but he is not that fucked up. It, like, you actually have to build your base and build to that point to be able to be a raunchy comic successfully.
What like Louis C.K. said, you just got to couch that joke. You're just gonna need to couch that one. He talks about when he's talking during I don't know if you've seen this during Carlin's funeral. Have you seen that? Mm-hmm. Where he's doing that. Louis C.K. is. Have you? Okay.
I don't think I have. It doesn't sound familiar.
He goes up there and it does a great little like 5-minute speech, but he's basically talking about how he said what made him want to be a comedian was he saw Carlin for the first time, and he said that he literally came out on stage and made the crowd shut the fuck. Like, people were just standing up and cheering for him, obviously, like giving him like long applauses because he saw him later in his career, and he said that he just literally told all of them to sit down and shut the fuck up. Like, he was serious. Like, he was like, just sit up, sit down. And he's like, I got to get this out. He's like, do you ever notice the people at abortion clinics are the ones you wouldn't want to fuck in the first place? And he's like, he's like, he had to get it out. He's like, he had to get it out so bad that he shushed an entire arena of people. He shushed us. Told us to shut the fuck up.
As we go towards wrapping up, I want to close with this about that. So there was a comedy podcast, or no, Bert Kreischer, when he was on Bussin' with the Boys. They were talking about comedy some, and he said that one of the things that when he sits down and he's watching the comic, the ones that he can tell are true professionals are those ones that come out and shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up. Do you ever notice the people that are protesting abortion clinics are the ones you don't want to fuck anyway? Like, that's a pro start. Not the ones, oh, what's up, San Diego? How y'all doing? No, yes. That's not a pro comic to him. And Kreischer makes an honest point. Like, in that the first thing out of your mouth when you greet a crowd as a comic should be a joke. That's what you're there to do. You can throw that fluffy shit in the middle of your set when the slower jokes are intentionally at anyway. You open hard, you close hard. That's how you have an effective set.
When you see a new comic or like somebody who you've never seen before, or somebody you see regularly but you're kind of on the fence about, you start at this like general level of hopefulness, right? And if the first thing out of their mouth is either going to plummet that fucking hopefulness into the ground and basically fuck you, and you got to work your way up, or you can start at get a little uptick with a laugh, and then you're off to the races.
When you think about comedy sets, you think about the way that they're designed to go. It's like when you listen to an album, and I'm not talking about buying a song on iTunes. I'm talking about downloading the White Album and listening to it from beginning to end. Downloading Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon and just listening to it from beginning to end. Not skipping any tracks, not fast forwarding, not rewinding. Just hit play and let it go. Or when you go to a concert, there's a flow that is intentionally designed to rise and fall, have the energy rise and fall. It's how they keep control of the crowd. Honestly, that's a large part about what it is. It's how they control the crowd's energy. And so, when I went to see Linkin Park on their reunion tour, Chester and Mike and the guys didn't walk out on stage. What's up, Phoenix? How's everybody doing? You guys ready to hear us play? No, they jumped on from a 10-foot riser onto the stage at the hard drop-in for one step closer while Chester was screaming.
Or dun 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 dun. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's those things, those small things are intelligently placed and designed at the beginning, middle, and end of the show to manipulate the crowd energy. That's what they're there for. And the true solid comics and musicians understand this fact and build their set around that. and that's why I loved what Bert was talking about, because like even in me, as I've sat down to try and start writing stand-up again, because I think it's time for me to get a new set in. I haven't shot a new video in a while. I kind of want to get a new set in, and I've been kind of working on some stuff. I think it's about time.
You should.
As I've
give you notes and tell you how shitty it is.
That's genuinely what I need. Is I need to know where the shitty parts are.
Well,
because
I'm always here to give out the shitty opinions.
But for me, the thing of it is, like, when I think about my set, now I used to be like, hey, what's up, JPs? How's everybody doing? What's up, Cafe Acoustic? How y'all doing? No, now I walk out, hey, what's up? My name is Tony. I have ADHD, bipolar 1, complex PTSD, and generalized anxiety. Really, now that means is I just see the world differently. We could walk out of the same meeting at work. You're thinking, man, that could have been an email. I'm thinking, buying your partner a sex toy is really the most romantic way you can tell someone to go fuck themselves.
Wow. Yeah, just
Hard.
go. Just
doesn't even have to make sense with the rest of your fucking material. It just needs to establish command of the room.
It's like Louis C.K. literally walking out, and he literally just like starts talking about how weird it is to walk out on stage and just be talking to people. He's like,
yeah,
when does this ever happen?
That opening, one of my favorite openings for a comedy set ever. Outside of like some of Carlin's and stuff like that, obviously, but like for him, like that was just so beautiful. The first time I saw that, I was losing it.
It's mastery. That's fucking mastery. And you know what the weird part is this isn't all just skill. This is actually who these guys are too, because you could tell that Louis C.K. was actually confused about why he has to come out on stage and talk to people. And he thinks it's fucking weird. He thinks that it's weird what he does for a living. And he just like is trying to figure it out.
You have to, as a comic, I truly believe this. Like as a comic, you have to truly accept how dumb it is that an entire room of people that don't know you from Adam are paying to listen to you talk about nothing.
And they can feel that you feel in the same weird position that they're in, because it's kind of weird watching a comedy show too. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, why would we just watch this person go up and talk? It's just the weirdest kind of thing.
Right. And that's the hard thing, is because not every comic that you see is Louis C.K. or Dave Chappelle or George Carlin or Red Fox or Lenny Bruce. They're just a comic. They're a working comic. But still, you go see it because, you're the idea of a comic is somebody who knows how to make people laugh. And so you go in with that hope, thinking that this person that you don't know anything about, you don't know him from anybody, is going to be able to find a way to make you laugh.
Absolutely. Good way. And think about almost none of these guys who are that big, like Louis C.K. and Carlin, and Rogan's probably the closest one, but like none of them ever changed their lifestyle that much. Do you ever notice that? Like they don't do that much different shit. Like it's not like when they make a bunch of money, like a movie star, they move into these big houses. That never really happens. Like Rogan probably lives in a really nice house, but it's not like, I don't think there's outward lavishness at all. Like, and he's the closest one. Like, I know that Louis C.K. just lives in an apartment in fucking New York still. Like, it's probably a nice fucking apartment. It's really nice. I know it is, because he talks about it in the fucking, it's like a gated community or whatever, but still, like, I don't think it's that much different. I don't think he's living that much different. He's still fucking drinking chocolate milk out of the carton and shit. Fucking eating Cinnabons.
All right, man. It is 9:30. We've officially been running for almost 2.5 hours. Quite possibly the longest Sports Report After Dark to date. Thank you for those of you that have been joining us live. We see you and we appreciate all you. For those of you that are listening afterward on Spotify and West Coast Radio, we appreciate you as well. Catch us live Thursday nights at 10 Eastern on the Sports Report Podcast YouTube. Just go to youtube.com/Sports Report Podcast. Final thing, Dan?
Yeah, can I just mention how weird it is that we just sit here and talk into a fucking camera to a bunch of people that really aren't going to be watching this for, if they do watch it, it's probably not like live. Like there's not, how weird it is that we just talk into a box and then it just goes out on the interwebs.
Yeah. It's witchcraft.
It's sorcery for sure. I don't know how it happens. Like you guys are like the fucking Wizard of Oz back there behind your, like, but you're the actual dude like that runs, he's just got like a series of pulleys and buttons that makes pyro go off and shit. That's what you guys are doing back there. Yeah. Creating a big illusion. Big, beautiful
all right,
illusion.
man. I appreciate you, my good friend. For those of you listening live and after the fact, I appreciate you as well. Definitely check us out. Reach out through the Sports Report Facebook page to send us your ideas on things you'd like our take on. And we will see you next week. Same time, same channel, right here on the internet and West Coast Radio.
The gigantic neon.
Oh, wait.
That I had behind me.
He had put the hardwood video in. I just didn't see it.
Oh, we're gonna run that out.
Hold on. Nope, that's just the thing. Never mind. Okay. All right.
I was gonna say just run it on repeat, just run it on a loop. We can just make this show 6 hours long. The last 3.5 hours is just fucking that ad over and over again. It's like one of those torture songs.
All right, all right, everybody. You all have a great night. Thank you.
Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. You got a mind, but even that could change. You could flip the gray matter like some batter in your brain. That's why they say, fake it till you make it A. And if you play that game, then you just might make a change. Rearrange all the bad to okay. Take the worst thoughts saying, turn them to a game. Take the best thoughts saying, put them on display. On repeat in your brain till you're feeling no more pain. Never slow yourself down, you can do some more. Push past all the pain and you'll find a door. Open it up and finally explore everything that you thought you could never.